The story unraveled with an exhausted man. He carried a large spike on his back. It was part of a monster that had been taken down. They were told that if they don't finish moving everything before sundown, no one would get dinner, and those who are still breathing should keep moving. The man struggled. The captain noticed him and scolded him. He was ordered to get moving. The man's name is Zhou Yi. Zhou Yi is just an ordinary guy trying to survive the apocalypse, and this very same guy will be our main protagonist. This is because in 2026, the world faced a crisis beyond human comprehension. Massive insects erupted from underground, opening countless portals to other worlds. People started calling them abysses. Inside these abysses lurked monsters straight out of a nightmare, like something from a hardcore dungeon in game. But the abyss also unleashed a mysterious radiation. A handful of people gained incredible powers from it. They became known as awakeners. But for those who didn't awaken, if they wanted to eat, they had to do the filthiest, toughest jobs. Yi had to load the monster part on the truck. He was exhausted. He fell on all fours on the ground. The captain saw him sitting and didn't hesitate to slap him in the face. He was yelled at, saying that he's slacking and trying to play the victim. He caressed his face and bit his lip to hold it in. His cheek was bruised, and yet he's concerned that the captain's hand hurt because of his face. The captain called him a pain in the ass. He was questioned if he can work, and if not, he should just get lost. He replied that he can. The captain yelled that the bodies need to be moved before dark, and they won't get any food until they finish. He assured the captain that he'll get it done. Suddenly, the ground shook. He thought it was an earthquake, but a monster appeared in front of him. It was like a worm with 4 tusks, and its circular mouth had sharp teeth. He turned pale. They got terrified upon seeing that there's still one alive. They started running. The captain noticed him, and thought that running wouldn't save them. He made a decision. Suddenly, there was a gunshot. Yi was hit on the leg. He was surprised. When he turned around, he saw that it was the captain who shot him. He fell down, while the captain got past him. While dashing away, the captain told him that weaklings should be baits. Now he understood that the captain left him as bait so the others could escape. He questioned why, when all he wanted was to survive. And yet it was so damned hard. He realized that someone like him, weak, powerless, was doomed from the start. He cried. When he opened his eyes, he saw an insect crawling on his hand. He thought that only cockroaches had it easy, because they can eat anything, while he struggles every day just to find food. And they are practically unkillable, since even the abyss radiation couldn't wipe them out. He thought that if there's a next life, being a cockroach wouldn't be so bad. He eventually got eaten by the monster. Meanwhile, several screens appeared to show that human transformation was initiated, and the evolution system had been activated. It attempted reconstruction 4 times because of failure, until it reached the 1,599,999th reconstruction and eventually succeed. When Yi opened his eyes, he saw a dirty place. He wondered if he's dead. He raised his hand, and it wasn't a human's hand. He approached the mirror nearby and saw his reflection. He was surprised, like the shock of humans when seeing a cockroach, because, well, he looked like one. He asked if it was him. He couldn't believe that he actually turned into a cockroach. He was surprised to see his extra 2 arms, and what's even stranger for him is that it felt like they have always been there. It felt natural for him. The only thing that feels off is the weird muscle in his back. It moved. It was his wing, and it made him fly, and he panicked and wanted it to stop. He clashed into the wall and fell. He realized that when he slightly tensed the muscles in his back, his wings moved on their own. Suddenly, he felt regret. That if only he knew that wishes before death were powerful, he would have asked for something better. Someone appeared and called him ungrateful. A golden cockroach floats in front of him, offended that he mocked the cockroach god's blessing. The cockroach god stated that in 5,000 years, he's the first human to ever pray for his power. He was going to give him the strongest abilities, but now, he saw that he's regretting it. Yi realized that isekai novels are real. He called the cockroach System, but changed it to Father. Then he apologized. The cockroach god didn't say a thing, then it disappeared. The system screen appeared and showed that the system has shut down because the cockroach god dislikes him. He realized that he just pissed off his cheat code. Over the next 10 days, he tried his hardest to summon the system, but no matter what he did, the system wouldn't come back. The other cockroaches saw him and wondered what he's doing. Because of that, he realized that he could understand cockroach language now. On his first night, he was alone. He realized that joking about becoming a cockroach was one thing and actually being one was disgusting. He peeked at the cockroaches nearby who's having their meal. It made him barfed because they were feasting on poop. One cockroach noticed him. It brought him poop and encouraged him to eat while it was fresh. He turned pale and yelled at it to stay away from him. But the cockroach insisted and shoved it in his face. It lets him have it since he prefers to eat a runny one. Instinctively, Yi slapped the cockroach to make it stay away. And the cockroach fell on the ground. It expressed that its feelings were hurt. Yi apologized and explained that it was because its breath smelled like crap. He suggested that it dies somewhere else before they talk again. And on the 5th night, Yi just laid on the ground. He cursed at his genes because now, even poop had started to smell good. He knew he had to find food soon or he might actually sleepwalk into a pile of dung. He rummages through plastics because a sealed one usually stops normal cockroaches from smelling food. But not him. He based it on his human knowledge and expected that there should be something edible in the trash pile. He saw a plastic that was labeled 3 years expired. He rushed to open it. The system notified him of an expired egg yolk pile. It is approximately 385 calories and edible for him. He thinks it was disgusting, but his stomach growled loudly. Eventually, he ate it. He was overjoyed eating it. He finds the smell great, too. Though he knew that humans can't eat it, for cockroaches like him, it's a feast. He cried upon receiving what he wished for. On the 10th night. The cockroach god still hasn't returned. He thought becoming a cockroach would make the apocalypse easier. But reality slapped him hard. He felt miserable to the point that he considered ending it all. But as a cockroach, he can't die from falling, drowning, or even poison. His only option is finding a predator to eat him. But since he got eaten in his past life, just thinking about it hurts him to the point that it made him shudder. Which then forced him to keep living. He felt fortunate that cockroaches are social insects. He thought that if he could dominate a colony and become king, he'd have a better shot at survival. It made him think that he didn't need a system, and with just his human intelligence, he'll thrive. He started with the one beside him whom he called Little Fatty. He asked him if he wanted to team up, but it aggressively rejected him since he can't even get fresh poop. He realized that in that world, power isn't about living comfortably, but being seen as someone who thrives. He knew that he needed an opportunity to prove himself. On his 20th day as a cockroach, that chance finally came. One muscular cockroach announced to his fellow cockroaches that, starting that day, they are moving into a better feeding ground. They could either come with them or stay and wait for predators to eat them. One of the listeners cried that they no longer have poop to eat. In Yi's mind, those cockroaches are worse to lead. Then the cockroach bawled his eyes out while expressing that he's scared to go outside. He saw the other cockroaches and wondered why they looked terrified. He wondered if it's because they are that lazy. The muscular cockroach asked if there's anyone volunteering to scout ahead. He told them to speak up. But everyone was dead silent. He didn't participate since he doesn't even need their poop to survive. But the system appeared and told him that the cockroach god says that if he accepts the mission, he might be forgiven. Without second thought, he raised his hand and volunteered to lead the charge. Little Fatty was in awe of how brave he is. He had a grin on his face as he thought that his cheat code was back. A few moments later, they hid behind the grass. They had to cross the dam and he thinks it's easy. But the little fatty was scared and told him he knew nothing. He shared that every time food runs low, the big cockroaches send the little ones to scout new spots, and that would make them a walking buffet for predators. He yelled that they could all die. Yi realized that it was a suicide mission. It made him think that the cockroach god is screwing with him by sending him to die as a sacrifice. He yelled that he's backing out. And thinking about it, he had a way to keep them fed. Little Fatty looked scared. Yi was confused with his reaction. Little did he know that the big cockroach was behind him. It asked where he's going. Then it told him that beyond the dam, there are monster corpses waiting to be eaten. So first come, first served, he realized that cockroaches have evolved to eat interdimensional monsters. One cockroach exclaimed that it's amazing. It was like having free food forever. Yi told the big guy that he's on a diet and they should go ahead. The big cockroach looked at him suspiciously. Then, it moved swiftly and grabbed him on the neck. It told him that if he doesn't want to scout, he will become dinner instead. Yi now knows that even bugs adhere to survival of the fittest. Back when he was human, his team was sent to scavenge because they were weak, disposable bodies. The leader told them that searching for food is a privilege. He could see that leader in this big cockroach. It threw him on the ground and told him that he should be thanking him for giving him a chance to survive. It stomped his head. He was squished on the ground. He knew he had to get his cheat code back, because being able to eat anything won't cut it. He was determined to be stronger. While crossing the dam, he instructed his brothers to spread out and move ahead. He ordered them that if anything happens, they should alert the group. He told the little fatty to stop clinging on him, but it was too scary. Yi looked ahead. He got too concerned because they aren't anywhere near a river, and yet there are wave barriers. The big cockroaches were relieved that they were halfway through and nothing had happened. They were ready to get moving because they couldn't let those brats take all the good stuff. They came rushing by flying, thinking that if there's danger, the brats would get eaten first. Yi was annoyed that they could fly, and yet they ordered them to scout. He called them cowards. Suddenly, he noticed something from the back. He saw large red eyes. He felt scared. Then he thought it was stones, but realized that those were toads. The other cockroaches cried. The toads pushed out its tongue as the cockroaches ran in panics. One cockroach yelled to run, scatter, and fly. A cockroach was grabbed. It yelled loudly as it got chewed. Several more cockroaches got eaten. The system appeared to show that a predator had been detected. It analyzes its biological data and learned that it is a mutant toad. It's an amphibian that possesses powerful hind legs capable of leaping 20 times its body length. Its tongue extends at 4 meters per second, lined with barbed teeth coated in paralyzing mucus. Its weakness is that it cannot see stationary prey. Yi told everyone to stay still because they can't see anything that doesn't move. He instructed them to lie down and don't breathe. Suddenly, the cockroach god grants Yi a choice. One option is to follow the safe route and escape alive, and the other is to save a fellow cockroach and gain his first loyal follower on his path to become the cockroach king. He initially thought that he couldn't become king when he died. It was an obvious choice for him, until he heard little fatty wailing. With a terrified look in its eyes, it stared at him. He recalled his experience back then. The thing he wished for most, the thing he never dared to dream of, wasn't becoming a cockroach. He just wished that back then, someone would turn back and save him, even when death was certain. The cockroach god started the countdown. Yi longed for someone to save him. He grabbed Fatty and hurriedly flew away while lecturing him to be on a diet. Fatty expressed, "Bro, I love you." Yi told him to shut up because his breath is distracting him. He got worried when it suddenly got dark. It was because they are headed to the mouth of a toad. He knew they were doomed. He looked at Fatty and made a decision. He threw him away from the mouth. Fatty turned around and saw him being eaten, and he was crushed. Suddenly, the system window appeared and informed him that he passed the test of the cockroach god. His selfless spirit had moved him. The system access was restored. He unlocked a new trait called Devour All Things. It was activated. Then he acquired new abilities like sticky tongue and acidic mucus. It was absorbed from the mutant toad. Suddenly, the toad exploded. Yi gained a special reward. A foot step out of the toad's body. Yi was notified that Blind Body has been unlocked. He's in a human form covered with green toad blood. The cockroach god uttered that even in direst of situations, he upheld righteousness, so he is worthy to be his successor. Yi asked if it meant that he won't have to stay as a cockroach anymore. The cockroach god explained that a cockroach is little strong, and that means it's indestructible. Given that he's already indestructible, he shouldn't worry about the form he takes. Yi admitted that he sucked in Chinese school, so he requested him to put that in plain words. The cockroach god yelled at him, saying that it means he can keep his human form while having the power of immortality. He celebrated that he's no longer a cockroach. He jumped up high as he rejoiced. The cockroach was impressed with him, since few humans ever show compassion for bugs, yet he saved his companion. When he landed from his jump, he felt something underneath his foot. When he removed his foot, he saw little Fatty squished. The cockroach god got annoyed that he just stepped on the companion that he just saved. That got Yi worried because he turned human again, because he saved little Fatty, and now that he squished it, he wondered if he'll turn back into a cockroach. He tried to calm down. He knew his survival skills would depend on his acting skills now. The cockroach god called him a moron. He felt foolish too for choosing him. He was cut mid-sentence when Yi cried out loud. He acted so heartbroken because he raised little Fatty himself and now it's dead. To the point that he couldn't live anymore. It was so dramatic, he even rolled on the ground as he bawled his eyes out. Watching him made the cockroach god realize that Yi's bond with the cockroach runs deep and that maybe he misjudged him. The cockroach god told him to stop crying since the little Fatty isn't dead. Well, to be precise, it can't die because it became his guardian, so as long as the king lives, it will revive endlessly. He was instructed to kill some mutant monsters to refill its energy, and it will come back to life. They looked at the toads. Yi planned to spare them, but now he thinks it's impossible. He made sure to make them remember the terror of being dominated by humans. The way he grabs the toad was portrayed in reference to Attack on Titan, because he was large, naked, and had steams all over him. The toad sensed him. It immediately leapt towards him. This guy was just like Captain Levi at this point, and it slapped him with force. His cheek was bruised. He felt annoyed that this toad is becoming a Levi wannabe and taking on titans. He trapped it in his hands. The cockroach god warned him that the mutant toad is dangerous. When he saw his hands, it had burns. The toad emits corrosive mucus from its body. He yelled in pain and dropped the toad. He kept shaking his hand. And when he does, his whole naked body shakes too. And the toad thought his PP was a little caterpillar. It released its weird tongue. The tip of the tongue separates like a finger, and it grabbed Yi's PP. He screamed out loud. It was so painful that it made him jerked upwards. He eventually caught the toad and removed it from him. He admitted to the cockroach god that he couldn't even beat a mutant toad. The cockroach god wasn't surprised because the toad was using its abilities while he just flailed around. Yi pondered on his abilities. The cockroach god reminded him that he gave him the trait, devour all things. If he eats the frog, he will gain its immunity. The cockroach god carried the toad towards him while saying that when he devours everything, he shall ascend to godhood. He asked if he could cook it first, but the cockroach god shoved it in his mouth while telling him to swallow it raw. Yi craved power, but the moment his tongue touched the toad, over 10,000 taste buds screamed in agony. It was revolting. He vomited and expressed that he couldn't do it. The cockroach god told him that if he won't do it, he'll die since he's already surrounded. As if on cue, all the toads jumped towards him. He panicked. But then he wondered why he's whining when before he worked himself to death and couldn't even get a bite to eat. He realized that now food is literally being served to his mouth. He wondered why he's still complaining. He ate the toad. The system screen showed that devour all things are activated and it detected the traits of the creature. Yi acquired corrosive mucus, frog leap, and elastic muscles. After that, he looked enlightened. He told the toads that their tricks are useless now. It was funny how he attacked them like he's performing gymnastics. When he defeated all of them, he uttered that invincibility is such a lonely existence. All of a sudden, a light blinded him. He covered his eyes. The light came from a military vehicle. One soldier announced that they found a naked weirdo doing unspeakable things to the toads. Yi asked them if they were there to rescue him. But in a blink of an eye, the order to execute was given. He was shot with dart arrows. A few seconds before this encounter, the military trucks lined up in front of him. He saw the badge on it and identified that it was the extermination squad. He had heard of them in his past life. They are humanity's strongest resistance force in the apocalypse. Every member is an elite awakener. They hunt down monsters on the surface and deep inside the abysses, track new abysses in real time, and maintain order around the cities. It was said that people living under their protection have already returned to a peaceful pre-disaster life. Running into them made Yi think that he thought that he's going to be rescued, but to his surprise, he was shot. He fell. The soldiers prepared for capture. They approached him, but were surprised that he moved. His body trembled as he tried to stand up. Elastic muscles have been activated, which means he can control every muscle in his body, allowing him to dodge attacks with agility. Because of that, the dart arrows fell from his body. The soldiers deemed him to be dangerous. They assumed combat positions. Yi raised his hand and begged for a chance to explain. The soldier ordered to aim and fire, but someone told them to stop. They turned their heads. A woman sitting on the roof of the military truck told them to capture him alive. It was their captain. Yi is starting to get annoyed and questioned if those guys can't understand human speech. The wheel of a vehicle got moving. Several bikers appeared, and they surrounded Yi. They had roped with them, and they threw it at Yi. It was tied to his neck, arms, and feet. Then the bikers accelerated, dragging him with them. He was suspended in the air as the bikers went in 5 different directions. He yelled out loud when he felt that his body was being ripped apart. His veins appeared on his skin. He activated corrosive mucus. It secretes a highly corrosive mucus across the skin surface. The captain noticed it. The rope melted, and he was free. While the bikers all fell from their bikes, the captain realized that he's an awakener too. She ordered to catch him. They all chased after him. The green-haired soldier grabbed onto his torso, but he was able to break free. When the soldier saw his hand, it was steaming because of the acid. He finds it interesting. Another soldier attempted to catch Yi. It jumped up high and tried to punch him, but Yi was able to dodge it. He punched the ground instead and debris flew everywhere. Another soldier, this one holding a baseball bat, came in front of Yi. Yi had to slide on his knees and bend his upper back to evade its swinging. He looked for his cheat code. The system activated Frog Leap. He was impressed. When he looked behind him, he was already at a great distance from them. He mocked them for not being able to catch him, but unexpectedly, he tripped and fell. A purple rope was tied to his ankle. The waifu candidate captain, who was just sitting there, did that. She asked him if he really thought he escaped. Our boy was alarmed. He thought he was already safe. She reeled him in. More ropes came out of her finger, and it wrapped around the whole body of Yi. She jumped down, tightened the rope, and stepped on him. She attached it to the motorbike, and she drove away, dragging him behind. Yi yelled, "Spare me!" and they zoomed away. At the Stronghold City. The Vermilion Bird Gate opened when someone announced that Vice Captain Eileen had returned. She told them not to open it too wide because they don't want monsters getting in. She slid inside, and once in, she stopped. They brought Yi to the Extermination Squad prison. Walking beside Yi are two women wearing a lab coat and Eileen in front. He told them that he's harmless, and that since it's apocalypse, being naked shouldn't be a crime. The woman on the right was surprised that he could talk. She uttered that he's different from the last 12. Eileen told them not to let their guard down. She stated that over the past week, 12 unknown refugees showed up. Same story every time. All naked, all grinning like idiots, and completely mute. The tests say they're just normal humans, but she admits that something about them feels not human. The woman on the left suggested just killing them all to save them trouble. The woman on the right replied that if they start executing people just for being mentally impaired or ugly, they would be the same as the monsters outside. She told her to quit complaining, and that the gene test will be out tomorrow. Yi realized that he got arrested just because he matched the profile of those 12 weirdos. Then he thought about the gene test. He asked the Cockroach God if they could detect them using it. The Cockroach God asked what it was. Yi knows he's screwed. The door opened. Eileen told him that whether he's a pervert or just part of the 12, he should just sit tight and behave. He asked why the lights were out. The woman noticed some vacant chairs. She asked the other woman if she moved the prisoners somewhere, because there's only one left there. The ponytailed woman replied, no. She was surprised to see that the others are gone. The prisoner that was left sat quietly. Eileen sensed something. Then they saw that the head of the prisoner expanded. They were all shocked to see them all floating on the ceiling. Yi asked what it was. The prisoners' heads were like balloons, and it kept them floating. What's more is that they have this creepy expression on their faces. Yi was terrified. Behind him, the tied prisoner roared, and its skull started breaking open. Then something came out of it. Yi and the ponytailed researcher turned around. They saw a monster that looked like a tree with mushrooms on its head, 3 eyes, spiky mouth, and had vines. The vines wrapped around them. Then it targeted Eileen. She leapt to avoid it. She realized that it was the true form. The researcher grew bumps on her body. It multiplied instantly. Boils covered her. Yi too. He's also confused about what's happening. The Cockroach God told him that he's been parasitized. He instructed him to chew on the pores at once, or else he'll turn into a zombie. The monster yelled that it wanted to have his body. Eileen was surprised that it talked. She had never seen a species like that before. The researchers moved like zombies. It went to Eileen. Eileen planted her rope on the ceiling and pulled herself up to avoid them. In her head, she complained that dealing with parasite-type monsters is always a pain. She can't just rush in and punch it. She knew that her abilities were practically useless there, and she doesn't have any magic crystals on her. She then noticed something on the table. There were scalpels. She grabbed one and threw it. The monster saw it and moved its vines. It used the researchers as a shield. Eileen was surprised. She had to pull back her rope. It was an emergency stop otherwise. She would have hurt the researcher. The monster teased her for being cowardly. Meanwhile, Yi was concerned because he couldn't eat it fast enough. It was drilling into him. The Cockroach God told him to stop whining and swallow it already. He swallowed. The system notified him of devouring the parasitic spore, which led him to acquire parasite resistance. His resistance increased to 45%. Eileen grabbed the other scalpels and told the monster that it's the coward for hiding behind hostages. She threw the scalpel. The monster told her that her actions are useless. She asked if I was sure about it. She manipulated the scalpel to go around the researchers. The monster was surprised that it got hit. She had a rope stick to the scalper to maneuver it. The monster screamed loudly. Just as Eileen suspected, its real body is weak. That's why it needs hosts to protect itself. Suddenly, the researchers bled on the same parts that the monster was hit. Eileen was surprised. The monster decided to transfer the attack to the hostages and restored its body. It was such a pain in the ass. Then the monster pointed out that she was infected too. She didn't know until then. She saw her arm had transformed, and it won't listen to her. Her own arm choked her. The monster didn't give her a chance to cleanse the spores. The monster was confused when she saw that Eileen was smiling. She binded her arms with her string and looped it into her thigh so her arms wouldn't reach her neck. It was fortunate that it was her who fell into the monster's trap. If it had been any of her teammates, they would be dead by then. Her spider silk can control an enemy's body, and she can use it on herself too. Using the strings, she threw the scalpel. The monster was hit. Then she uttered that it was too bad for the monster because it didn't take much for her to break free. The monster told her that if she keeps struggling like that, she'll bleed out and lose her ability to fight. And the monster threatened her that if she tried to run, it would kill the researchers. It suggested that they escape together. She replied that even if the monster begged, she wouldn't leave. It will only happen after he has taken him down. Meanwhile, Yi kept eating. The monster noticed him because of the crunching sound. The monster realized that it can't control him, so it will just kill him. Yi sees he's in a bad situation because he can't dodge. Suddenly, strings wrapped around him, and in a lightning-fast motion, he was pulled by Eileen. The monster was dumbfounded. Yi screamed out loud. He thanked her for saving his life. He landed below her. His nosebleed and cheeks turned red when he saw her underwear. Eileen was speechless. She realized that he's not one of them and he was just a shameless pervert. He replied that he kept telling her that. She told him that since the monster can't take over his body, they have two options. Either they both die there, or she holds the monster back while he seeks for help. Our MC was speechless. He didn't like it, so he chose option C. Eileen asked what the hell is it. He replied that they would team up and blow that ugly mushroom to bits. She couldn't believe how eager he was to throw away his life. She asked why. He had a determined expression. The question made him recall the time he was left to die. And he answered that he hates people who abandon their teammates and run when faced with monsters. He stated that cowards like that are worse than the monsters themselves. She commented that he's a brave young hero. But deep inside, she thinks he's an idiot or something. But in reality, Yi was already prepared, because the system told him that the monster's real body is weak, and if he's already immune to parasitism, he can take it down easily. He was thinking that if he wins, he'll earn a safe place under the extermination squad's protection. The mushroom complained that humans, even in battle, still think of impressing the opposite sex. The monster thinks that it's pathetic. It released several vines on their way. He knew that Eileen could control bodies too. He told her to hurry up and control him so he can fight too. He told her that he's not afraid of parasitism, but he doesn't know how to fight either. Eileen released her spider silk, but warned him that she can't guarantee his safety. The string was attached to Yi's body. She moved her fingers and told him to go for it. He charges ahead. The monster knew he couldn't dodge his tentacles, so he questioned how he's going to break through his combat puppet. Yi was met by the researcher controlled by the monster. Eileen moved her fingers so Yi could grab the researcher and shove her down. Then the ponytailed researcher attacked next. Eileen moved the strings and moved Yi like a puppet so he could slide down between the legs. Then he leapt. The monster noticed that he's moving faster now. It started to think that the woman was controlling him. Eileen commented that the monster had brains, after all. Yi was ready to punch the monster. He screamed out loud, "Die!" The monster's vines moved. It created a barrier to protect itself. It was confident that Yi was too weak to break through its defenses, but as Yi approaches, a trait gets activated. The trait is elastic muscles together with corrosive mucus. His punch landed. The monster coughed green blood. Eileen was surprised to find out that Yi had been hiding extra abilities. A part of the monster melted. Its torso was left with a big hole. It couldn't believe how strong Yi is. Yi smiled. The monster refused to die there, so it planned to transfer the damage. But to its surprise, its wounds weren't healing. Then it saw Eileen crouched beside the two researchers, and she already extracted the parasitic spores from them. She crushed it on her hands, and she annoyed the monster by saying that she couldn't wait to see how it would look all sliced up. The monster glared at her. This ugly fuck got triggered even more. Suddenly, the human balloon floating in the air started acting up. They then popped and excreted liquid. Eileen and Yi were surprised, and they saw the blood gathered towards the monster. The hole in the monster's torso started closing. Both Eileen and Yi got cautious. Then the monster turned gooey. Its body was transforming. It was now like a giant red slime with sharp eyes. When it finished the transformation, it looked like a muscular red bipedal monster with 4 eyes, sharp teeth, and long tongue. It was far from looking like a tree. Red venom would be somewhat near. Both Eileen and Yi got cautious. The monster told them that they are the first human to ever see that form. It hoped that they wouldn't disappoint. In a blink of an eye, its fist is already at Eileen's face. It was that fast. When its fist landed, she got blasted backwards, and she collided with the wall. Yi was surprised. They didn't expect it to be that strong. She could tell that it's on a completely different level than before. She saw it reaching for her. It grabbed her head and shoved her on the ground. As she was dragged, it left a trail on the ground. Then the monster threw her. She's coughing blood already. She stayed in a fetal position on the ground while the monster looked at her. It felt like an attack landed on its body. It turned around and saw Yi. It knew that the attack came from him. Yi knew they're in a bad situation. The monster closed the gap towards him, and without holding back, it punched him. He crashed on the ground, alongside the researcher. Our boy was already out cold. The system warned him that all bones were broken and internal organs were severely damaged. Since fatal injury has been detected by the system, the immortality trait has been activated. Full body regeneration was in progress. And just a few more twitching, it was done. Our MC woke up again and immediately whined that he really nearly died. He also noticed that the cockroach god was beside him and told him that if he takes another hit like that, he can't guarantee that he can save him. With that, Yi immediately played dead. He silently cheered for Eileen and hoped that she would win. The monster was occupied with Yi. It called him weak. But it turned around when it heard something snapped, and Eileen was about to kick it. But it caught her leg. She had no idea how that happened. Her leg was pulled. Clutching her leg, the monster hurled her side to side, pounding her against the ground with brutal force, first on one side, then the other, as if she were nothing more than a rag doll. Then the monster threw her. She collided with the ceiling and vomited blood. The monster grabbed the chair that he was tied up in earlier. At this point, Eileen was already falling from the ceiling. He lifted it while complaining that it was so uncomfortable. Using the chair, he hit her like a baseball, and she hit the wall again. More blood came out of her body. She was in pain as both of legs were broken. She didn't give up, though, since her arms still work. Yi witnessed that. He couldn't believe that even Eileen, the vice captain of the extermination squad, couldn't beat that thing. He wondered if there's anyone who could save them. Someone called him. It was the researcher, and she told him to tell the vice captain to unleash her full power. She opened her palms and revealed a red gem. Yi saw it, and he reached for it. But there's a problem. He has no idea how he'll deliver the stone to her. The cockroach god suggested that if he pushed the elastic muscles straight to the limit and charged forward, he might find an opening. And based on his calculations, the success rate is 10%. Yi replied that it's basically a death sentence. The cockroach god pointed out that it's either a 10% chance of survival or a 100% chance of dying. Yi grits his teeth as he contemplates. He could only curse as his body started moving. He activated the elastic muscle trait, screamed out loud, and started charging forward. The monster noticed him. The cockroach god noticed that the monster's reaction was even faster than expected, so with that, his success rate dropped to 5%. Yi knew he couldn't turn back now. He could just go all out. He leapt so high to go above the monster. The cockroach god told him that there's only 1% left. Yi was determined to reach Eileen, but the monster grabbed his foot. It asked him what he's doing. Yi got pulled. The cockroach god uttered that it's now 0%. Yi was smashed on the floor. The impact was so powerful that he created a dent on the ground. The monster was about to step on him. But Yi has a determined expression and believes that he hasn't reached 0% yet. He knew that the position was his last chance. He threw the stone while yelling at Eileen to catch it. Then the monster stomped on him and called him weak. But it got surprised and realized that there was a problem. Its foot didn't reach Yi's head because Yi had been protected by spider silk. The monster turned to Eileen, and this badass waifu number 1 acknowledges that Yi risked his life just to get the crystal to her. She was seriously touched. Her legs were patched up using the spider silk. This is her using a lot more of her ability now. She released more of it through her fingers. Then she wrapped the monster with it and pulled the strings. It made the monster fall on the ground. Her hand transformed into a blade. She calls it Spider Snowblade, unsheathed. Then she slashed the monster using that, but it disappeared. That surprised her. Suddenly, it towered over her. Then it stated that humans who can wield their power are still too weak. It grabbed the blade and snapped it in half. Then it grabbed her by the neck and pierced her torso using the detached part of her blade. Yi watched it happen. She laid motionless. Yi felt hopeless. The monster was about to stab her again. Unexpectedly, its hands got chopped off instead, and a long brown-haired guy carried Eileen. It angrily looked back. Yi was surprised too. A large, bulky man walked away from the monster. 2 more people arrived? The monster inquired who they were. There was a silver-haired woman with eyeglasses and a tall, maroon-haired man with brown cape. And the last would be the large, muscular, brown-haired man that carried Eileen. They all wore the same uniform. The woman saw the researchers on the ground. She checked their body and said that they're in a bad shape since their organs, bones, flesh are all a mess. She knew she had to treat them at once. This woman is the captain of the Extermination Squad 10, Haley. The large, muscular, brown-haired man is the captain of Extermination Squad 2, Philo. He assured Haley that no monster would get past her to hurt her. The chief commander, Corey Virayon, told them that he'll take care of playing with the monster for a bit. He was amused that this one could talk, because that's rare. Eileen woke up and weakly reported that the monster was different. She told him to be careful. The chief replied that she has nothing to worry because he's built differently too. Haley told them to shut up because she needs absolute silence for the treatment. She used a green stone. A root came out of the ground. She used the technique runic revival and enveloped the researchers with a large flower each. Philo placed Eileen on the flower too. Even Yi was engulfed with the flower. He was confused to see the flowers. He felt warm, like he's soaking in a hot spring, and it's making him want to close his eyes. And he did. Until the cockroach god appeared and yelled at him not to pass out. It even injected him with adrenaline. He immediately woke up since it was burning. Haley saw him and got confused because the treatment shouldn't hurt. The cockroach god told him that he's lucky. It advised him to open his eyes and witness the peak power of the era. Corey Virayon introduced himself to the monster, and since it can understand human speech, he invited it for a talk. The monster replied that they don't talk to food. It made Corey confused. Suddenly, Corey noticed blood spilling from the cracks on the roof. This really got his attention now. It kept dripping, and it eventually formed a shape. It was the captives that the monster devoured. That became its army, and it claimed that all of them will die there. The other monsters charged ahead, and they were heading towards Haley. Yi was stressed to see there are monsters everywhere, from above, left, right, below. But then, Philo assumed a combat stance. When he punched the air, it released sharp waves, and it immediately disperses the other monsters. Meanwhile, Haley manipulated the wind. Yi noticed it swirling around the flowers, until it formed a cyclone barrier. Philo told her that he can deal with the monsters, but she had to deal with the blood. She was annoyed, but she let it slide. Yi's jaw dropped as he witnessed the power of a captain-level awakener. The monster was pleased with himself for managing to stall 2 captains. Now the first one he plans to eliminate is Corey. Some monsters were liquefied. The main monster screamed out loud as it absorbed the others. Then its body transformed. Beside its head, it created 2 more heads and arms, one on each side. It's now a gigantic, ugly monster. Yi exclaimed that it's so unfair for doing a 3-stage transformation. Corey expressed that he envies guys like the monster since they can grow bigger whenever they want, while Ha had to go through a whole process just to do it. The monster threw a punch, but Corey moved swiftly, so it didn't land on him. He then teased the monster that it almost got him. The monster got angrier. It tried to punch him again, but he jumped to evade it. Then he crouched so low to evade the next attack. The monster kept attacking, but he's agile enough to evade it all. The monster got annoyed with him, dodging like some annoying bug. When Corey jumped, he saw the monster became flexible, and one of its vines wrapped around his torso. The monster told him that he's done for. But our boy pulled out his sword and slashed the monster consecutively. Then he landed on his foot, while the monster was chopped into pieces. What a Chad. The monster had no idea what just happened. It trembled in fear as Corey approached it, and in a single fucking flick of his finger, the monster's body disintegrated. Corey watched it intensely. Only the small mushroom-type body of the monster was left, and in a single swift move of his arm, Corey trapped it in a bottle. He was so happy to have it. It was like he just caught a new Pokemon or something. He got excited catching his first talking monster in a H story. He asked if he has the privilege of naming it. Haley yelled at him to quit messing around, and that he should start thinking about how to explain the destruction of the brand new research facility to the council. Both her and Philo uttered in unison, "Stupid boss." Yi couldn't fathom how strong he was. The cockroach god asked him if he saw that gap. Then he told him that he can pass out now. Time had passed. In one of the rooms, The inside looked like a cozy home. Yi slowly opened his eyes and asked where he was. He was surprised to find himself in a bathtub. He saw something. The curtain reveals a silhouette of a woman in the shower. He turned red. He was confused on what's going on. Eileen peeked from the other side and saw that he's awake. She really looks like a different person just because of her hair. She told him that his gene results aren't back yet, so technically, he should have been locked up for another night. But since the prison was destroyed, she had to bring him home under her supervision. Yi tries to cover his body. He asked if they really had to go that far, being naked and soaking wet together. She didn't care if he saw her body, and she lectured him to stop being shy. Then she explained that hot water is only available during that time, so there's nothing they could do. She introduced herself properly and thanked him for what he had done earlier. She asked his name. Our boy was flustered, so he couldn't easily answer, but eventually he manages to say his name. She told him to scoot over, and she dipped inside the tub. Yi looked really uncomfortable. Then she told him to turn around and lie down so she could check his wounds. He became redder when he felt her hand on his back. He couldn't understand why she had no concept of personal space. If that keeps up, Yi feels like he's going to... His thoughts were interrupted when she exclaimed that it was impressive. All his wounds had completely healed and it didn't even leave a scar. She pats him on the back and commended his regeneration. The cockroach god appeared and stated that his heart rate had raised to 120 beats per minute and his testosterone level spiked. His blood flowed downwards. He asked if he should activate reproduction mode. Yi yelled, "No, absolutely not." She showed him her scar on her chest while she commented that the monster was brutal. She openly showed it to him and his jaw dropped. The cockroach god did a countdown of the reproduction mode activation. Before it could reach the count to 1, Yi immediately stood up and left. Eileen was left confused. Little did she know, she nearly saw what a cockroach guy in reproduction mode was like. Yi was now out of the bathroom and breathing heavily. He knew that if he stayed a second longer, he would have died of embarrassment. He blamed the system. He was then distracted when the news was on, and it talked about the recent spatial fluctuations detected near Minghai City. A small human outpost 50 kilometers away that was run by non-government forces has been attacked. It was where Yi used to live. He wondered if everyone died. The news anchor reported that by the time the extermination squad arrived in response to the distress signal, the entire outpost had already been abandoned. He realized that if he hadn't left, he'd probably be dead too. The public was warned that abysses portals to otherworldly realms, and if they detected one, they should report to authorities immediately. The cockroach god told him to quit overthinking it. Then he told him he has good news. The squashed buddy, Little Fatty, was back to life. It was displayed as an imperial guard. Yi was intrigued with it. Cockroach God explained that from then on, Little Fatty is immortal, and no matter how many times it is crushed, as long as Yi is alive, it will always come back. Yi started to think it was overpowered, but he questioned how a cockroach that never dies is supposed to be a guard. The cockroach god told him that Little Fatty could also level up. At the moment, it can share its vision with him. He tapped the summon on the screen. The screen became pixelated. Little Fatty's hand started moving, and eventually, he made it out. He happily greeted Yi, saying that he missed him so much. Yi had a smile on his face. The Little Fatty became sad when he saw that he became ugly, since he now looked like a human. Yi was speechless. The cockroach god encouraged him to command it to fly around. Then he should also close his eyes and he'll sync with its vision. He saw Little Fatty make his way through the door and slipped into the cracks. He flew above the tub. Yi panicked and yelled at him to get out of there. Little Fatty reasoned that he could sense Yi had the urge to peek in there. Eileen sensed it. She let out a spider silk and wrapped Little Fatty with it. It made him melt, and he was gone. It made Yi bleed on his eyes, nose, and mouth. Then a fountain of blood bursted from his nose. The cockroach god forgot to say earlier that when he shared senses with Little Fatty, if it died, he'd suffer a backlash. The next day. The test report came out. Eileen told Yi that everything was normal. He looked at the report. Then she told him that he's free to go. Yi had this sullen look on his eyes. He placed the report down. Then, in a serious tone, he expressed that he wants to join the extermination squad. She was confused when she heard that because their mortality rate is ridiculously high. He asked her if she thinks the survival rate for normal people is any better. He reasoned that he's an awakener too, and he wants to fight alongside them. He had clean records, so he thinks there shouldn't be a problem. He asked again if he could join or not. She stared at him. Then she informed him that the extermination squad's quadrennial selection tournament is in 7 days. She admits that his skills aren't bad, but there's a rumor that the competition that year was the toughest one in history. Our boy looked determined and requested that she let him handle it. He baited her by saying that she doesn't look like the type to ignore a life-saving debt. She told him to stand up. She admitted his shameless persistence, so she gave him a shot at special training. Little did they know that Corey watches them from the shadows. He was with a doctor, and the doctor asked why he requested him to forge Yi's medical report. The gene test showed that Yi wasn't human. Corey smiled, and simply replied to keep it a secret for a bit longer. Inside the training base, there's an entrance to go to the abyss. We then see our boy being shocked about something. He just learned that the special training that Eileen told him is throwing him into the abyss. He wished it was a joke. The abyss is crawling with monsters, and the ones inside are way stronger than the ones outside. They say that even an entire army wouldn't stand a chance. He questioned how jumping into an abyss is considered training, and his teammates are just 4 teenagers. There was Justin, Liu Yao, Su Kai, and Song Tao. Eileen informed them that each of the abyss connects to another world. Depending on how much that world has eroded into their world, the abyss is ranked from E class to S class in danger. The higher the rank, the stronger the monsters are and the bigger the area. She told them that the gate leads to an abyss already scouted by the extermination squad. She pressed a button. Then she stated that the extermination squad's John is to enter the abyss, clear out the monsters, and delay the other world's invasion into their world. She described the abyss as the tunnels left behind by the giant worms during the Great Cataclysm. She pressed another button, and the entrance started glowing. Then she informed them that the portal had been opened. Among the group, Justin had the experience in the abyss, so she assigned him as the leader. He accepted. They entered the door and arrived at the silent, dark jungle, which was classified as E class. It was a luscious jungle, but also eerie. It was Yi's first time. A monkey with a snake tail spotted them. Yi couldn't believe it. And the spiders are large, and the trees are massive and tall. He kept checking the surroundings. He questioned if he's still on Earth. He commented that stepping through the gate feels like entering another world. His teammates were speechless on how excited he is. Eventually, they started moving. Justin turned and threw his backpack to Yi. He warned him not to touch a single monster in the abyss and that he should just stay behind them and carry their bags. Yi was confused. Justin thinks that the guy spent a night with the vice captain. Deep inside, he's furious that Yi made a move on his goddess. Yi was silent. Justin even got annoyed seeing him react like that. He asked if he didn't want to. But actually, Yi was happy because not touching anything would mean he's safe. He enthusiastically carried their bags. Justin was left dumbfounded, while Yi celebrated his safety. Justin thinks he has a loose screw in the head. Yi approaches the others to get their bags. The first one was the only female in the group, Yao. She coldly replied that she got it, and then they walked away. Deep inside, Yi couldn't understand why he's forbidden from hunting monsters. He thought that it wouldn't do any harm, until he saw how awakeners fight in the abyss. Yao used Heavenly Curtain Thunder Wrath. It electrocuted monsters in a wide area. Then Justin swung his sword and cut several monsters at once. The Awakener's crystal weapons absorb monster abilities when they kill them in the abyss. It's like gaining experience in the game. And the more they kill, the faster they level up. Eventually, he learned that even the best Awakeners in his age group get exhausted from constant fighting. Justin had already killed 310 monsters, and he finally leveled up. But Yi was built differently. He puts on his table napkin and dined. It was like he's eating in a fancy restaurant, but it's simply eating the dead monsters around. From it, he acquired a trait called Snake Ape Long Arms. Basically, he doesn't need to kill monsters. He just eats a piece of them and gains their traits. He kept eating, and more traits had been acquired and boosted like toxic resistance, jungle adaptation, and sunlight affinity. His belly was full. He burped out loud as he lay on the ground with his belly bulging out. He made up his mind that if he joins the extermination squad, he's going straight to logistics. He felt so good watching the others fight while he grew stronger just by eating. The cockroach god appeared and suggested that he should praise him. He raised his arms and waved. The exhausted awakeners saw him. They were annoyed that they are fighting for their lives, and he's just having a buffet in the back. Still in the silent, dark jungle, a monster ran. It was a jungle heavy-horned beast. It was charging at another monster, the king of snake-tailed monkeys. In just a bump from it, the king of snake-tailed monkeys was thrown in the air and bled. Yi watched secretly. He recognized that it was the abyss's final boss. From just watching it take down the near-night-level king of snake-tailed monkeys like it's nothing, Yi felt overwhelmed. He recognized the rank difference and the gap in power. Justin told them that they got it, as long as everyone sticks to his plan. Despite being a rookie team, he's determined to take it down. Yi remembered what Eileen said. If he gets hurt, crippled, or worse because he ignored the rules and charged in recklessly, health insurance won't cover that. He told them that Eileen warned them not to fight the boss. With that, he's out. Justin grabbed his collar and yelled that no one needs a loser like him anyways. He ordered him to just go sit in the safe zone and guard their bags. Yao stayed quiet. Justin pointed at the map and told him to stay put in there. He carried their bags, walked away, and wished them good luck. Kai and Tao were pleased. Yao knew that the spot that the captain sent Yi to was the ambush point for the final battle. Justin replied that it was intentional. He added that he already stuffed explosives into the 4 backpacks that Yi is carrying, and once the boss locks onto him, he'll set off the explosives. Then they would swoop in and clean up what's left. He didn't have any remorse when he stated that all it takes is one useless teammate. Yao expressed that it's messed up. But as soon as she said this, something happened. The captain didn't hesitate to point his sword at her. This edgy guy told her to cut the pity act, and he's only going to let it slide once. Back to our MC, Yi arrived at the so-called safe zone. To his surprise, the ground shook. He wondered if the fight was that intense for him to hear it all the way there. He sensed something. He turned pale. Something moved so fast, several monkeys ran past him. He was confused that it did. Then a tree snapped in half. He turned around and saw the boss monster running. Its sharp horn pierced Yi. He coughed tons of blood as the boss monster ran over several trees, until it hit the mountain. Yi questioned why it was there. At this point, his body was already pierced with its horn. The cockroach god detected fatal injury. He expelled foreign objects and began repairs. Yi asked where everyone was. He asked if the whole team was wiped out. A flamed arrow was shot. It landed near the bag. It lit up dynamite. Yi thought it was a rocket. Then it made him think about what's really in the bag. When he realized it was explosives, it was too late since it already exploded. He blacked out, but his consciousness was there, realizing that he was ditched again and used as a bait. The explosion was huge. The other 4 watched it from a cliff. Justine laughed out loud. He commented that Yi's face was priceless. He told them that once the explosions are done, they will go down and finish the boss. He was happy to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Yao saw something, she informed the captain. Justin turned pale. The explosions ended. The smoke slowly vanishes, and it revealed Yi in one piece. His eyes glowed in yellow. Justin couldn't believe it. Yi was still alive. He finally took the horn out from his torso, and his skin was restored. He was furious. He lifted the large monster just by holding on its horns. Justin was taken aback. Our boy then threw the monster at them while yelling that he's not easy to kill. When it collided with the cliff, it created a massive explosion. Justin braced himself for the impact. One person called the captain. It was Tao. Half of his body got squeezed and he sought help. They were surprised to see him. Justin deemed that he's done for. He advises the others that if they don't want to die, they should focus on taking down the boss first. He pointed his sword at Tao. Tao begged him not to do it, but he used his trait of flesh bursting arrows. Tao's cheeks expanded, and he exploded beneath the monster, and that caused the monster to roar loudly. The monster lifted itself up. Justin instructed the other 2 to attack. Kai covered his hand with flames, and he released a whirlwind of flames towards it. Yao released electricity and electrocuted the boss monster. It chirped loudly. Justin saw that it was almost down. He grinned as he thought that it isn't nearly as strong as the legends made it out to be. He thinks it made sense, because if that idiot could toss it around like a rag doll, he doubted its strength. He charges forward with his large sword. The monster withstood the flame and the lightning attack. It stood with 2 feet. Justin was taken aback. The flame and lightning combine with the horn. Yao turned pale when she realized that it just absorbed their energy. She told them to stop using elemental attacks, because the more they hit it, the stronger it gets. Justin realized that they couldn't win because it was too strong. He noticed Kai. His brows furrowed. Then he smacked Kai from behind. Kai was surprised. He collapsed. Yao couldn't believe Justin, but Justin targeted her next. And she collapsed too. Justin told them that they are just getting in the way, so they might as well be useful before they die, that they should be grateful instead. Then he ran away. The boss monster approached the collapsed people. It raised its foot and squashed Kai to death. It was about to do the same to Yao, but something moved so fast. It was none other than Yi. He ran so fast and grabbed Yao. She asked him why he only saved her. He stared at her. Then he replied that back then, she's the only one who didn't bully her and didn't let him carry her backpack. Yi had this thought that because he was weak in his past life, People treated him like cannon fodder without a second thought. And now, as a cockroach, he was weak again, forced to lead the way and die for the bigger roaches. He also didn't provoke anyone, and yet he was still betrayed. He learned that in that world, only the strong have the right to control their own fate. So he was determined to get stronger. Someone called him and asked for help. It was Justin. The monster had trapped this fucker beneath its foot. Yi reminded him of his words, that not a single monster should get touched by him. Then he grinned at him. Justin got furious, and just like that, he was squashed. Yi turned his attention to Yao. He used a sleep-inducing pollen. The pollen of the tranquil bloom causes unconsciousness when inhaled in large amounts. He knew it best to keep his monster abilities for now. So the only ones left are him and the boss monster. He faced it. Our boy was just aura framing at this moment, and announced that he's going to use it as his stepping stone to power. The monster got ready to charge. Yi extended its tongue until it grabbed on a branch. His snap tongue trait got activated, and because of it, he was able to help himself up so he could evade the running monster. He had absorbed so many traits until that point, and he knew it was time for it to be put to use. He activated the mantis scythe. The forelimbs of a rainforest mantis is capable of slicing through prey with ease. A few rocks had cracked, but when he tried to slice through the monster, it was so tough. Even after enhancing his scythe, cutting the boss isn't going to be easy, but even if its outer shell evolved into armor, he saw the abdomen that looked like a weak spot. He stabbed it and it bled. It roared loudly. Yi became positive that it might work, but the monster set its eyes on him. It turned and threw him in the air. He bounced on the ground while bleeding and eventually collided with the mountain. He coughed blood. He realized that despite its big size, it was fast. The boss monster released electricity through its horns and tried to zap him with it. He knew it was bad. It landed on where he was. It was so powerful that it covered a wide area. Smoke covered the forest. When the smoke was gone, it revealed that the tree had snapped. The monster was surprised at what it saw. Yi's arms became wooden. He activated the skill Trant Skin. The wooden skin of a Trant is highly resistant to electricity, but extremely weak to fire. And just as Yi thought, no matter how strong a monster is, there's always something in its environment that can counter it. He knew that despite it being able to block attacks, he would still need a finisher. He was set on his move. He activated long arms to grab Justin's sword. He knew that the next strike would decide everything. He lifted his foot, and when he stomped on the ground, he activated Trent Vines. It is a weapon Trents use to ensnare their prey, and when they move in groups, they sprout countless vines, and those vines are capable of trapping any creature in the jungle. The monster roared loudly as the vines covered its body. Yi attacked. He gave his all on that move. But the boss monster was also determined to survive. It broke free from the vines. Yi couldn't believe it. There was no time for him to dodge now. He activated his elastic muscles and strengthened his muscles. The sword clashed with the monster's horn, and it broke. Yi had to step back. When he saw the condition of the sword, he threw it away. He watched the monster and saw it running towards him. Yi was confident that the fight would end as he had acquired the trait that would take it down. He devoured a stone. It was the beast's sharp horn. He activated it, and his whole body transformed. He was covered in armor and had a large, spiky blade on both of his arms. He moved quickly. The monster met him head-on. A blinding light appeared as soon as they clashed. Eventually, Yi was left panting. They destroyed a wide portion of the forest. Yi bled, but he successfully defeated the monster. A key suddenly appeared. It is a key to a secret realm. Using that item within the time limit grants access to a secret realm. He had no idea what the secret realm was. Meanwhile, outside the abyss, a training accident was reported. There were 3 dead, 1 critically injured and unconscious, and 1 with minor injuries. They immediately called the medics. A person grabbed someone by the collar. An officer angrily ordered Yi to speak about what happened in the abyss. He questioned why he's the one alive. Yi had no idea what to say. He thought of just saying that he just got lucky, but knew that it was too fake. Someone taps the officer on the shoulder. It was Corey, and he uttered that it seemed like the military suspected his vice captain's recruit. He added that if that is how it seemed, then it's like saying he's the one behind the whole disaster. Yi was surprised to hear that from him. The officer got flustered and tried to explain that it's just that all casualties were military-selected recruits, so it seemed natural. Corey glanced at Yi. He told the officer that it was enough since nobody enters a dungeon expecting 0 deaths. He expressed that he's glad that it isn't what he meant. Then he dismissed Yi Yi didn't say a word. Later on, he went to the rooftop and relaxed there. He wondered if the captain deliberately covered for him just because he got recommended by the vice captain. He knew that it's no use overthinking. What matters to him is knowing about the secret realm. The cockroach god appeared and explained that it is a hidden dimension inside the abyss, and he can only enter it using the key in his hand. So technically, it is not something humans can normally obtain. But since his DNA is almost identical to a monster, the abyss classified his fight with the boss monster as a territory battle between monsters. That's why he received it. He concluded that it's an exclusive dungeon for him to get stronger. The cockroach god replied yes, but emphasized that the monsters inside are far deadlier than what he had faced so far. Plus, he'll have to deal with whatever entity originally granted the horned beast that key. He stated that it could be like that mushroom monster from before because it's one of the intelligent creatures guarding the abyss's core secrets. Yi asked the purpose of the countdown. He replied that if he doesn't use the key within 24 hours, it will disappear. He asked him if he's going. Yi looked at the key and replied yes. But before that, he had something to take care of first. After all, he might die there, in one of the apartments. Yi was outside on his knees asking Eileen for a date. Eileen kicked him. She's furious that he dared to mess with her. She was ready to punch him again if he said it again, but he seriously asked her for a date again. And she responded with her fist. She punched him left and right. He bled a lot. She dared him to say it again. Even with the swollen cheeks and black eyes, he said it again. She pouted as she saw the look in his eyes. She knew that look, since it was the same as those soldiers before their final mission, trying to fulfill one last regret before they die. Then she laughed out loud. She commented that he had guts and agreed to go. I bet some of you are jealous right now. Go and ask your crushes for a date. Anyway, first, our boy and Eileen went to a cafe. They drank from a cup with 2 straws. They watched a horror movie. Yi clinged to her when he got scared. Then on a photo booth, they took fun photos and rode a bike along the beach during sunset. Yi was happy to have his first date. He had been planning that for nearly 20 years. He stated that every little detail has been perfected, except that he never had a girl to take on a date. But now, he can die with no regrets. She watched him. Eventually, she stopped pedaling and called him. Eileen told him that she had seen so many faces of soldiers before they died, and no matter how many final wishes they fulfill, nothing beats staying alive. She admits that she might not know what happened to him in the abyss, or what's going on in his head, but she told him that instead of planning how to die without regrets, he should live so that in that way, he might actually get the life he wants. Yi was taken aback with her words. He was silent, and after a few moments, he replied by saying thank you. She hoped that next time, he will have the courage to ask her out again. At nighttime, the cockroach god was not pleased that the only thing he wanted was a date. Yi took out the key, and it cracked. A portal started to form. It opened. As he entered it, he knew the cockroach wouldn't understand. But it was his own way of closing a chapter on his past life, and with that, he's fully gone. The portal closed. He arrived in the secret realm, Darkwood Forest. Our boy can't believe it. In front of him is a giant snake-tailed monkey with a Guardian-class danger level. This was the same species earlier from the training ground, except its danger level was definitely higher. The old him would have run. But now, it's different. Yi activated his heavy-horned beast sharp horn. Then he charges forward. He looked like a bug compared to the humongous monster. In swift motions, he slashed its arm and made it bled. He went for its nape, but another one appeared behind and caught his leg. He was thrown and clashed with a tree. He groaned in pain. Several monsters of the same kind charged towards him. One monster caught him with both of its hands and ripped him in half. His upper body got separated from his lower body. Then he fell on a branch of a tree. Yi breathes heavily. He activated a sleep-inducing pollen, and the smoke covered the branch where he landed. Then he started growing his body parts. The undying skill got activated. He noticed that the monkeys were only slightly weaker than the jungle heavy-horned beast, but there were too many of them. Without the undying trait, the last hit would have killed him. He realized that he can't beat them in a head-on fight. Then he realized that the secret realm's environment is similar to the abyss, and it would mean that there should also be predators that counter those monkeys. He thought of how the monkey was taken down before. The pollen dispersed and the monkeys saw him on the branch. He planned to lure the monkeys into their predator's territory. He activated a frog leap. He jumped on the next branch while thinking that he still has a chance. The monkeys roared loudly and chased after him. He moved quickly until a monkey had grabbed his foot, but he targeted it. using corrosive mucus to escape its grip. Yi noticed something. He found what he was looking for. It was those spiders. It was called Giant Hunter Spider and its guardian class. Yi changed form. He looked like a bird. Then he activated white-tailed grouse feather. The spider noticed him. He flew to a branch above those spider webs. He had to disguise himself like that, a natural predator of spiders so it wouldn't attack him. He felt fortunate to have absorbed many traits from the past corpses, and now it's paying off. Then he noticed something. The monkey monsters that were chasing him got tangled, and the spiders slowly crawled down from the branches. The monkeys roared loudly. The spider extends its arms and stabbed it. The monkey was in agony. Its mouth was frothing. Yi watched them from the shadows. He saw how the snake-tailed monkeys are being overwhelmed by their natural predator. But he's aware that hunter spiders usually hunt by trapping isolated prey, and at the moment, a whole troop of monkeys just charged straight into their territory. The spiders hissed. The rumble started, and chaos like that is exactly what Yi needed. He activated Mantis Scythe. 2 spiders ganged up on a monkey, and Yi was coming towards them. He slashed the spider first, followed by the monkey. He strikes the stragglers and even the playing field for the weaker side so that the battle drags on. He chomped at a monkey's finger and swallowed its flesh. He used the chance to absorb traits. But nothing happened to his body. He asked why it wasn't working. The cockroach god called him an idiot for thinking that the power was that simple. He told him that he can't just bite a random monster and expect to get stronger. To acquire stronger traits, he needs to devour specific parts of his enemies. He offered to mark it for him. The arm of the monkey was highlighted. The screen showed him that the trait is located in the giant ape's biceps. He munched on it. Then he acquired the new trait called Snake Ape Long Arms, an upgrade to giant snake ape arms. He watched the chaos. In a chaotic battlefield, he knew that he would have plenty of time to keep evolving. He also acquired endurance enhancement and venomous spider stinger. He also got paralytic venom and paralysis resistance. When he was done eating, it was time for him to clean up. He slashed several monkeys at once. By the time he's done, it was dusk. He arrived at a certain place. The door was made out of stone and was fiery red. And behind that door is the boss's territory. He could feel that aura coming from inside, and it's insanely strong. He noticed something. Something was piled up on the side. He asked what it was. He took an orange marbuk. The cockroach god told him that it's the Secret Realms marble, which can be found in monster graveyards unique to Secret Realms. Basically, it's an ultra-rare magic crystal. Over the years, it has absorbed the residual energy of countless dead monsters. It contains an immense amount of energy. The cockroach informed Yi that he can absorb it all at once or use half its power to tear open a rift and safely exit the secret realm. He contemplated and thought about his options, to play it safe or to gamble everything for more power. But he knew that it's his best chance to evolve, and if he backs out now, he knew he might not get another opportunity like that. He hasn't faced the boss yet, so there's no way he's running away already. When he entered, he saw a room surrounded by fire, and in front of him was the boss monster, sitting on a throne. It was called the Heavy-Horned Beastman. The danger level is unknown. He was surprised that he couldn't see it, but even from that far away, he can feel the terrifying pressure. It was truly a secret realm boss. It spoke to ask him if he's the one who slaughtered its kin. Yi was surprised that it can talk. He realized that the kin it's referring to is the heavy-horned beast from the abyss. He wondered if these monsters have a society like humans. Then, in an instant, the boss monster charged at him, and the ground shattered. Flames erupted. The boss monster knew that it didn't hit its target. It also finds our MC strange. It was because our boy had already transformed and activated the giant snake money arm. The monster knew that the connection to that world hadn't even opened yet. He asked how a human like him was able to get in. Yi was shocked to find out that it was trying to connect the secret realm to Earth. Yi doesn't want to think anymore, so he just lets this boss monster talk. It glared at him, and in a blink of an eye, it punched him. Yi's eyes turned white as he coughed blood, and he collided with a pillar. The impact was so powerful that he created a dent on it. His torso was slit open. Undying skill immediately activated, and damage recovery started. The boss monster noticed him. When it saw the recovery speed, it said that Yi was more like them. It found it interesting. It decided to cut him open and study him. When it was about to strike again, Yi's dynamic vision activated and the perception of high-speed targets were enhanced. He saw the stake approaching. Yi watches it. Though the strength of this boss monster is terrifying, he could tell that its attacks are really simple. He evaded the attack and run to punch it. He knew that fighting up close would give him the edge. He activated corrosive slime. He wanted to get the boss monster's trait. But before he could reach it, it already smacked him away. The boss monster admits that the spear was a pain to use, and it prefers punching instead. Yi was on the ground and it punched him non-stop. Dust covered the area. It eventually stopped and the dust was cleared. Yi looked badly hurt, but the monster could tell that he's alive. Yi was thankful that the elastic muscles absorbed most of the hit. The boss monster took its spear. It expressed that it's boring now. It planned to stab him with the spear covered in fire. It moved so fast, but Yi managed to block it with his forearms. Hardened skin activated. It is a tough skin from the jungle heavy-horned beastback armor and can self-repair and provides extreme defense. It tried to attack again, but Yi was able to deflect it just by his own body. The cockroach god appeared and stated that the hardened skin is melting from the flames. He told him that they can still use the secret realm gem to retreat, but Yi refused to believe that he had lost. He saw an opening and immediately jumped. Then he activated the giant monkey arm fist. The boss monster spinned the spear in the air, and its movement blasted Yi away. He collided with a pillar. The flame rose and scattered everywhere as controlled by the boss monster. It locked its eyes on Yi and released the flame towards him. Our boy saw it approaching, so he jumped to avoid it. But the flame chased after him. He activated a frog leap to evade those flames. But he couldn't dodge all of it, and his thigh was pierced. Undying skill has been activated, but the wound is taking continuous damage that renders recovery disabled. He turned pale when he realized that Undying's insane regeneration won't work. The boss monster told him that he will melt him down. He faced the flames head-on and yelled that he will take the boss down with him. He activated a heavy-horned beast spear. Then he charged at it. At this point, he's already frustrated. He targeted the horn. His blade created a crack on it. But the monster just stared at him. Yi was surprised. His blade was stuck while the monster collected flame in its spear. Yi was engulfed with flame. It was followed by his loud scream. Even when he fell on the ground, his body kept burning. The cockroach god told him that it's not a monster that he could beat. He doesn't want him to throw away his life. He forcibly used the secret realm gem to open an emergency escape portal, but to his surprise, Yi smacked it away, and the gem fell and shattered. He got annoyed, but Yi was determined as he expressed that he already made peace with dying a long time ago. The cockroach god was speechless. Red mist covered Yi. It made the fire die out. He ordered to surround the boss monster. His body glowed in yellow, then he moved with a lightning speed. The boss monster got confused on what happened. He could sense power from him pouring out like a tidal wave. The system screen acknowledges that Yi didn't run from certain death. With that, he had passed the second trial of the cockroach god. His fighter form has been unlocked. He exudes powerful wind from his body when he transforms. He checked his hand. His whole body showed muscles with hard amber-type stones on some parts like his chest, genitals, shin. He could feel a new power surging through his body. He asked what exactly that fighter form is. The cockroach god replied that it is a state that allows his traits to evolve freely. He wasn't done talking when Yi got distracted because flames are on its way to him. The boss monster used his trait called Lava Burst Stream, and lava erupted. The area was filled with steam. Fortunately, Yi was unharmed. The cockroach god continued to explain that the armor in fighter form fuses cockroach carapace, elastic mutant toad skin, and the hardened hide of the jungle heavy-horned beast. And as he gains new traits later, it can keep upgrading. Yi was amazed that even the concentrated lava burst stream barely scratched the outermost layer. He was impressed with the biological composite armor. The boss monster was confident that he wouldn't survive that barrage. But Yi's hand appeared. That surprised the boss monster, and it hit him before he knew it. Yi had used a giant snake monkey arm combined with elastic muscles, so basically it became a long-range snake monkey arm fist. The cockroach god had informed him that in fighter form, he can activate multiple traits at once and chain them into combo skills. There's also no cooldown between trait switches. Yi realized that combining traits lets him hit them with attacks he'd never expect, and in fighter form, his strength, stamina, and agility increased tenfold. He felt incredible. The boss monster was speechless because there's not even a scratch on him. He couldn't believe it, so he attacked again. Yi watched him carefully, and he combined dynamic vision and elastic muscles plus mantis scythe blade. With that, he easily deflected the boss monster's spear. After doing that, he stretched his legs and kicked the boss monster, and while the boss monster is in the air, he extends his fingers and wrapped it on the boss monster's arms and legs. Then he pulled down, making the boss monster crush on the ground with a powerful impact. The boss monster couldn't believe it. He got angry. He punched him, but Yi met him with his fist. It looked like they were in equal footing now. But this monster got overpowered. It ends up trembling in front of him. He glanced at his spear. He struggled to reach it. He has a plan in his mind that would risk a reset of world expansion progress. He pierced the ground, and lava burst out in an attempt to recover all his power. Yi was taken aback. The lava sprawled across on the floor. In no time, Yi was surrounded by the lava. The boss monster laughed at him and told him that he'll regret killing him just then because that was his last chance. Yi assumed a combat stance. He watched him using his skill. In his fighter form, he can directly see an enemy's weak points and extractable trait zones. The stronger the trait, the brighter it glows. Yi got ready to move. He disappeared from his spot in an instant. The boss monster wondered where he went. In a blink of an eye, Yi's foot was already in its face, and Yi kicked it powerfully. The boss monster crashed on the rocks. It was surprised, to the point that it called Yi a monster. Yi's recent move was a combination of frog leap and mantis scythe. Then, our boy picked up something from the ground and ate it. The boss monster stood up again as it had already recovered its power. It activated Molten Spiral. It's a wave of lava that could burn Yi into ashes. It claimed its victory as it unleashed the swirling lava towards Yi's direction. Yi exudes golden glow from its body. The lava is coming closer. But, with just one swing of his blade, it disperses. The boss monster couldn't believe it. Yi held a spear that came from the boss monster's horn. He commented that the horn tasted like black pepper sauce, and then he exclaimed, "I freaking love it." The boss monster got spooked with his devilish grin. It fell on its butt and crawled away from him while calling its mommy. He described Yi as a monster who eats other monsters. Yi asked the boss monster if it could take on its own ultimate move. The system showed that the trait Heavy-Horned Beast's Sharp Horn was upgraded to Heavy-Horned Beastman's Sharp Horn. It also gained a molten attribute. Yi's Heavy-Horned Beastman's Sharp Horn can now be summoned in lance form. Yi used the skill of Scorching Heaven Molten Spiral. The boss monster begged him not to do it, but it didn't stop Yi. It made the boss monster scream out loud. It kept screaming as the lava enveloped it, and nothing was left of its body. Smoke covered the area. Yi stood in the center of that. Then an oblong marble with a monster inside appeared. He asked what it was. The Cockroach god informed him that it is a monster seal, a rare drop only from Secret Realm Lord-class monsters. Using it unlocks the monster record for the Imperial Iron Guard, which allows transformation into that monster. Yi realized that little Fatty would now be of use. He poked the marble, and it shattered. Then the screen showed that Fatty had obtained the Heavy-Horned Beastman record. Yi was prompted to summon the Imperial Iron Guard. He replied, yes. Fatty came out of the screen. It slowly transformed, and became similar to the boss monster earlier. Fatty was confused as to why Yi looked smaller. Yi was amazed at what he saw. His two-man army is becoming more OP. Then, Fatty knelt in front of him, and a screen appeared above it. It showed his race, a Heavy-Horned Beastman at a Guardian class. Even Fatty couldn't believe that it was his new form. He commented that it's ugly. The Cockroach god replied that the transformation isn't just on the external, because when Yi defeats stronger monsters and unlock their records, Fatty's power will scale with them too. Something snapped. It was the pillar behind them. It's falling on them. Fatty gathered strength, and effortlessly stopped the pillar from squashing them. Then it placed it on the side. It cried, though, because it's now huge and can't fit on doors anymore, which made it think that it's already useless. Yi bonked it, and told it to pull itself together. It was expected to evolve while staying by his side, so he wanted to also see what it got. With that, Fatty lifted its hand, and summoned a lance. Then it attacked. The same attack that sent him flying a while ago was just blocked by using his forearms. Our boy Fatty also didn't hold back as its lance released lava after the contact. Yi came out of it unscathed with steam on his body. He was surprised because not even the boss's flame attacks did that kind of damage. Cockroach God looked proud as it stated that Fatty doesn't need to spend energy for maintaining the secret realm, so it's currently at 100% Lord state. He takes pride in how strong the Imperial Iron God really is. Yi ordered Fatty to return. Yi was pleased that his strongest current trait, the Heavy-Horned Beast's Sharp Horn, had evolved again, and now it carries the Molten attribute. In addition to that, Fatty can transform into a Heavy-Horned Beastman and can now fight head-on. He saved it to be his hidden card for turning the tide when needed. He had risked his life to do whatever he can, and now he's about to face the selection tournament. He believes that with the traits he acquired and a full power secret realm lord ready to fight anytime, he's confident that he can handle whatever trial they throw at him. He's positive that he'll make it into the extermination squad. 3 days later, at the arena, someone entered. There were so many people inside, and of course, our boy was among them. While the crowd cheered from the benches, he was overwhelmed by how many people there were. There were a lot of people in the audience too. Yi heard someone say that the Extermination Squad selection tournament is the most important event in Nirai City. It wasn't just recruiting new members into the squad, but also a political battlefield for the Nirai power struggle. Eileen and Corey watched through a glass window. Eileen stated that the city's major families each sent a representative to compete, and the tournament winner directly determines which family takes the speaker's seat for the next 4 years to control the city's power. Some black-robed men passed by Yi. He noticed them. The guy with an eye patch is Bai Haoyu. The Bai family controls Nirai City's intelligence bureau, and the ones competing with him are all elite operatives. Another powerful candidate is Tony Olaf, who represents the military. He's the favorite to win that year's tournament. Eileen is aware that the military plans to turn the extermination squad to a supporting department, giving them full control over Nirai's armed forces. Haoyu and Tony met, and Tony told him that the tournament will decide whether the Olaf family secures their 4th term in the office. He doesn't have to mention how high the stakes are. Haoyu simply replied that the Bai family will continue to support the Olaf family as usual. Suddenly, the crowd got excited. A woman walked in. She is the saintess of the Esper Church, Karen User, and it is her first public appearance. There was an intel that Karen's ability is a kind of hypnosis or mind control. That's why her followers wear blindfolds to avoid making eye contact with her. A group of weird people were beside. They looked more like a monster with their eyes blindfolded, torso and hands tied up, and they had weird posture. Just by looking at those followers, Yi could tell that something looked off. Eileen acknowledged that the church benefits them for now. This is because remote regions rely on their influence for stability, and they also need their research to better understand espers. Even Tony and Haoyu watched Karen. Haoyu didn't expect that the church would actually send their saintess to compete. Tony told him not to worry about her because she's not their target. He looked at a short guy with a white robe and stated that the boy in uniform wearing glasses is the one that they should focus on. It's Zhang family's representative, Zhang Jie. Upon closer look, Jie looked overwhelmed. Tony asked him if the Zhang family couldn't send someone else and ended up sending out the useless young master. He gave off a scary vibe and offered Jie a deal, that if he drops out now and surrenders, they might just let the Zhang family keep 1 honorary seat in the parliament. Xi replied that even if they are stripped of their seats, they will never become the military's lapdog. But Tony stated that it doesn't matter because soon, Nirai City will only have 3 major families left. Just from watching them from a distance, Yi could tell that their relationship looks tense. Eileen stated that the Zhang family runs the Esper Technology Research Institute, and they are allies of the Extermination Squad. She also knew that Jie is the weakest of the 4 representatives, and the military is going to seize the Zhang family's seat and expand their influence further in parliament. She told Yi through the mic that the captain hopes that he'll rank high in the tournament, so they'll have a chance to protect the Zhang family. Yi replied that he'll do his best. Then she took out the earpiece and asked the commander if he really believes in Yi. Deep inside, she knew that if the military took full control of the parliament, they would be in trouble. The commander replied that he saved Yao, came back alive from the abyss. It just showed that he had some skills. The fireworks have been lit up. The crowd rejoiced. They watched the center of the arena, as vines crawled on the ground, and a flower bloomed, and revealed Haley Carmen. She welcomed everyone and introduced herself as the Round 1 examiner. She discussed that the tournament has 3 rounds of assessment. The first one is called Extreme Climb. Behind her is a mountain path with 100 stone steps. Reaching just the 10th step counts as passing. But based on the past results, 2/3 of the examinees will die on the climb. The examinees' jaws dropped in shock. Haley assured them that Squad 10 of the Extermination Squad will do everything possible to ensure their safety, but they are still advised to proceed with caution. She announced the first round of the exam. To begin! A lot of examinees hesitated to move. One man forced himself despite the scary feeling. He rushed to climb while saying that there's nothing difficult in climbing. The rest got inspired and followed. They ran ahead. Some of the ones who didn't rush were Karen and Zay, also Haoyu and Tony. He commented that those are a bunch of fools for charging in when they don't even know how they're going to die yet. One man in front scoffed at the elites of the 4 families for teaming up like trembling puppies. He claimed that he will be the victor for that round. He kept climbing. Then his surroundings changed. That surprised him. They were transported to a city. They got confused. But in reality, they were still there on the steps, and they acted like a statue. Yi asked why they're frozen like that. Haley knew that the test isn't just about physical climbing. The 100 steps were built from the bones of a Ghost King-class monster. It was one of the strongest creatures humanity had ever defeated. Even as bones, it can trap anyone who steps on it in an illusion, preventing them from reaching the top. And if they don't find a way to escape the illusion soon, the examinees saw that they were being devoured by monsters, and that is how they met their deaths. Haley had announced that those examinees have been eliminated. She used Resurrection Halo on them. Yi was surprised that those players were all dead. Eileen wore the earpiece again and explained that each illusion has its own goal. Whether it's surviving until a timer ends, reaching a specific location, or defeating a certain monster. As long as he fulfills the condition, he'll be able to escape the illusion. She couldn't contact him inside the illusion, so he'll have to rely on his own judgment. Tony told his squad to remember their mission, to be the one who climbs the highest. Synchronously, they stepped on the first one. Tony braced himself. He was transported to a fiery mountain, and a timer appeared. The flames swirled, and it formed a dragon. He realized that the illusion was designed specifically to counter his abilities. But Tony thought lightly of it since his job is to just hold out for 5 minutes. The squad was with him, and they proceeded with Plan 1. They released water from their hands. While others act like firefighters, Tony stood there. Then he snapped his fingers. A chunk of ice came from the ground and pierced the dragon, and it vanishes. The military team was able to proceed. Corey was impressed. He noticed that there isn't any resistance either, so he thinks the subordinates are awakened too. He commented that the military is really throwing everything into winning that year. Eileen wondered how the commander was still so calm. He told her that she shouldn't get nervous yet. He told them that the first 10 steps are just for filtering out the rookies who aren't extermination squad material. So, for those elite candidates, it's barely a warm-up, but the higher they climb, the harder the illusions become. Eventually, they will run out of subordinates to sacrifice, and that's when the real showdown begins. He stated that to reach the summit, they either unleash one technique that can overpower 100, pushing their ability to its absolute limit, or they need a mindset that adapts calmly to anything thrown their way. The audience noticed that there's still someone in the launch zone. They wondered if he chickened out and quit. They were talking about Yi. Yi opened his eyes, and he started climbing the stairs. The first illusion has been created. He was slipping down an icy cliff, and he's falling. He took out his lance and pierced it on the side of the cliff. It eventually helped him to stop falling. Then he sensed something. A blue bird with a large mouth appeared. He was in a dire state since he's placed on a frictionless cliff that standing up is impossible, and now a flying monster attacked him from above. The system screen appeared. Yi tapped on attack, then venomous stinger, then sticky tongue snap. He used all of that combo, and gained a stinger whip. It absorbs the lightning from the bird. It glowed blue and the attack was reflected on the bird, causing it to be badly injured, and it fell on the bottom of the cliff. Yi finds it easy. He was able to proceed on climbing. He thought of how these illusion monsters look intimidating, but their strengths are on par with grunts from the Silent Shade jungle. He recalled Eileen's intel mentioning that near the summit, the monsters reach Guardian class. He was confident that on his current level, he can handle them. He took another step. The illusion started again. It was a maze this time. Illusions built like that are always the toughest, completely unpredictable terrain. If someone encounters an enemy that counters their powers, they would probably be stuck. But that didn't really concern our MC as he used the spear's lava ability to burn a large area. That cleared a path for him. And with that, he immediately saw the exit. Yi was confident since his abilities can adapt to any environment. He charges straight through. The man beside him climbed up 2 steps and thinks he's showing off, because he started last on purpose, acting like a main character. Yi stepped again. He ascended really fast. The men whom he passed by were shocked. They asked how it was even fair. One person even commented that he's a beast. The other man begged Yi to take him too. He was the one who called Yi a show-off. The other 2 who heard that gave him a sharp look. They took out their anger on him for saying that, and now they think they lost the chance to be carried. Corey commented that Yi was faster than he expected. At that rate, he could actually reach the summit. Eileen seemed worried about it, because she saw him as a clueless, thick-skinned rookie not long ago. And now, he's aiming for something not even the commander could achieve, under the bright sky. The 4 from the elite companies were on the lead. Haley announced that Haoyu has finished the course with a score of 38 steps. Karen had completed 35 steps, and the current highest score is 40 steps, and it was Tony. He glanced behind him, and saw Jay was out of breath. He was frustrated. His lackeys had already been eliminated. He's now alone. Tony had timed their entry into the illusion to match his, then they ambushed him. He was feeling down because he only had reached 31 steps and were still 9 short of their family's highest records. He wondered if that's how it would end. They called him Tony, ordered him to bark like a dog 10 times and withdraw, and their family would still be able to keep 1 seat in the parliament. He offered him to do just 1 sacrifice. She was in tears. He cried as he bit his lip until he heard something. Yi caught up to them. It surprised Tony, especially when Yi was alone, unlike them who had subordinates to sacrifice. He asked who it was. Yi kept climbing. Z was impressed on how strong he is and thought that if only they knew someone like that in Nearby City, they would have begged him to represent them instead. Through the earpiece, Eileen told him to help Jay, but our boy kept going. It made her wonder if he couldn't hear her. One of Tony's subordinates was impressed, and of course that person was scolded by Tony, especially when the Olaf family spent a fortune training them and holding the line for moments like that. He told them to follow him as they go up a few more levels. He aimed to beat their family's 50-step record. Eventually, the last 2 subordinates fell. He knew he was being reckless, but he's making progress fast. Then, it made him wonder where the kid went. To his surprise, Yi was already right behind him. The shock made him ugly. Then Yi moved past him and told him that second place is all for Tony. It angered Tony. Yi turned around and asked him why he quit chasing after him. He taunted him by saying that a real man doesn't quit that easily. That triggered Tony even more. At noon, Haley announced that Yi is now on lead with 60 steps. Then he reached 82 steps. He's at 99 steps. At that point, he's tied with the commander's highest record. 1 more and he reaches the summit. The crowd got excited as they will be witnessing history. At the same time, they all got curious on who that kid is. One examinee cried that he lost. The casino boss recognized Yi. He remembered when Yi bets all his organs on himself winning. And seeing Yi's progress, he knew that he's ruined. Before claiming the last step, Yi had something to say. He arrogantly asked if that was all there is to it. Unexpectedly, he heard a static sound from the earpiece. Eileen yelled at him to quit showing off. She's angry because she told him to help Zhe and yet he ignored her. She told him that with just 1 round, he's so full of himself. He replied that he'd complete the mission as promised. He moved, but he's going downwards. Everyone was confused about what he's doing, when he should be returning via a safe path to avoid more illusions. Tony saw him coming. Yi taunted him by asking why he's not on the 50th step yet. Tony got annoyed. To him, it felt like he came back just to humiliate him. He stopped in front of Jay. He towered over him. Jay was confused on what's going on. Yi grabbed him. To his surprise, he got carried over his shoulder. Tony couldn't believe that Yi was going to drag a dead weight upwards. On top of that, he's going solo, in a 2-person difficulty illusion. In no time, the illusion started. Lava filled the surroundings. They would have burned if not for the barrier that Yi puts up. They cleared that and were given another illusion. This time they fought monsters in the forest. Yi carried Jay as he dangled on a branch. The next illusion that followed is on the sea. Sea monsters tried to eat them. Yi transformed into a bird, and Ji clings to him to avoid being eaten. She was thinking to help out in any way he could, just so he wouldn't be a burden. But Yi reacts unbelievably fast, that before Ji could even adjust to the dizziness from entering the illusion, he was already on the move. And that's when he realized that the best thing he could do is shut up and hang on like a proper accessory to be of help to him. The sun was up high in the sky. They landed on another step. At this point, Ji was already panting. He reached the 50th step. Yi told him that as long as he's a step above Tony, he would be safe. Ji cried, and he bowed to him, feeling deeply grateful. He told him that from then on, he's a benefactor of the Zhang family. Tony yelled at him. Yi noticed him. Tony was furious. He questioned Yi if he even knows what he's doing. He asked him if he really wanted to ruin the plan of the Olaf family that they had spent 4 years preparing. He tried to threaten him that if messes with the Olaf family, he'd be done for. But our MC didn't even give a fuck. He recalled what Justine did to him, and how the military officer accused him. It made him think that those people are so used to being tyrants that they think everyone just bow to them. He questioned how they aren't making enemies everywhere. He called Zay, and asked if he wants him to help him vent his anger out a little. Jay enthusiastically gave him a thumbs up and told him that he'll just add it to the reward. Yi was immediately on the move. Tony was shocked. In a blink of an eye, Yi had punched him. Tony lost a tooth. While he was falling, he thought of how the commander of the extermination squad doesn't even openly defy them, so he questioned who the hell Yi thought he was. He fell on the bottom of the stairs. Someone watched through a screen. They watched him fall. Immediately, the man on the couch stood up. He ordered Genting to get a full report on Yi by that night. Bai Genting replied to the chairman that he understands. Genting is the head of Nirai City Intelligence Bureau and the current patriarch of the Bai family. The chairman, Rhodes Olaf, replied that no matter who he is, if he dares to mess with him, he'll pay the price. He is the chairman of Nirai City Parliament and the current patriarch of the Olaf family. At dusk, in a small place, Yi went home and rested. H ate potato chips on the couch while his leg was propped on the coffee table. The first round of the selection tournament ended 2 days ago, and it shocked everyone that Tony, the top contender before the match, only placed third. Though, Yi admits that he was impressive. After he kicked him off the mountain, he climbed all the way back up on his own and collapsed on the 49th step. Before the match started, Yi bets all the magic crystals he brought back from the abyss plus his organs, and he won big on 10-to-1 odds. The casino boss thanked him for sparing his life. That casino boss had to sell off everything he owned just to pay him the promised 50 gold coins. In that world, 1 gold coin is worth about 100,000 yuan pre-catastrophe. According to Elian, 50 gold is roughly what she earns in a full year of monster hunts. That means Yi made a fortune. And as for the reward for helping the Zhang family's young master, his deep thinking was interrupted when someone barged on the door. He was surprised. Eileen kicked open his door. And boy, oh boy, he's in danger. He immediately stood up and acknowledged her. She couldn't believe that he refused a Zhang family 3-story villa just to stay in a rundown apartment. She asked him if he's stupid. Yi was shocked. He replied that it's close to the Extermination Squad apartment tower, so it's safer that way. Eileen's home is within the Extermination Squad housing tower. Then she told him not to waste money, that every coin should be spent on getting stronger. She told him that there's an auction happening that night and he should attend to broaden his horizons a bit. He received the invitation. The nighttime came. They walked the streets. Yi kept checking the surroundings. A mouse squeaked, and he got spooked. He couldn't believe that the auction was held in a creepy place like that. He asked if it was legit. Eileen responded that the staff sold there isn't allowed on a public market, but it's high on demand. That's why it's called the black market. Yi was surprised. He knew it was illegal. On top of that, she's not stopping it. Instead, she's actually joining in. It was late at night. Eileen knocked on a back door. She knocked 3 times, and waited. The door opened. She told him to stay close. They walked inside. Suddenly, the door was shut. Then the lights were turned on. Yi was blinded by the sudden lights, and when he opened his eyes, he saw men on black robes pointing guns at them. And they were surrounded. One man removed his hood and asked for their invitation. Eileen gave it to him. The man inspected it and told them to follow him. They passed through another door, and when they entered, it was the auction hall. There were already people on the seats. Yi noticed there were so many people. They sat down. He confirmed with her if the place was legal. She replied that with the support of the Bai family, even if it's not, it will be considered one. Plus, regular people don't even qualify to enter, so it didn't matter that much. On the second floor, it is the Olaf's family private room. The one sitting on the couch in a military uniform is the Olaf family agent, Hart. One of his guards noticed something. He reported to his boss that Eileen from the Extermination Squad is in seat 17 with Yi. Hart saw them. He had a devilish grin when he commented that it's really a small world. A few moments later, the host welcomed them. The host wore a sexy bunny suit. She told them that for that night, there are over 100 of rare treasures, so their visit will be worthwhile. Their first item is a merfolk tail. It was an extremely rare monster part edible by ordinary humans. It was renowned for its powerful anti-aging effects. Those who knew about it are familiar with how difficult it is to obtain. It started with 1 gold coin. The crowd got excited. They were wise to start with a premium item. The item was so rare that it might save even one of the audience's grandpa. The cockroach god told him that its grade is F. He knew that is such a trash tier trait, he couldn't understand why people were fighting over the piece of trash. Eileen pointed out that it extends a lifespan. She thought that he's an idiot for not getting that. Next items are the ones unsold from previous auctions, and they are up there for extra discounted price, starting with 100 copper coins. The audience knew that they were being scammed because those are just useless trash. They are wise to know that not every monster corpse is valuable and was presented to just bait some clueless newbies. The cockroach god detected those corpses and evaluated that those trait grades fall under E, A, C, D, and A. Yi smiled. He raised his hand and yelled that he wanted all of them. The auctioneer was pleased. She was glad they had found some suckers. Yi was ready to spend some cash that night. Eileen had just proven that he's dumb. The next one was one of the most anticipated items of the night. It is from the C-Rank Abyss Frozen Plateau. That is what Eileen wants. It is a magic crystal from the Frozen Plateau Lord, the Frostfang Plateau Spider. The auctioneer informed them that the crystal is over 50% pure, perfectly intact, and of top quality. It is ideal for any ice-type awakener. The bidding starts with 1 gold coin. Eileen was determined to have it because of what happened with the evolved mushroom monster. Once her Snowfang blades gain ice infinity, they'll be way stronger. She didn't want to suffer humiliation again. She raised her number. The auctioneer acknowledges her, then asks if there's other bids. Someone pressed a button and announced that seat 1 bids 10 gold coins. It was from the honored guest seat on the 2nd floor. She told them that each raise will now increase by 1 gold coin. Hart now learned what item Eileen is after, and it's exactly what their young master Tony asked for. Eileen glared at them. Now that the Olaf family is bidding too, things got complicated. She bids 11 gold. Seat 1 bids 15 gold. She raised her bid to 20 gold, but Seat 1 offered 25 gold. The audience thinks that she's nuts for bidding against the Olaf family. They recognized her. Yi knew it wasn't good. Hart knows she doesn't have much money because she's just a vice captain. He thinks her limit is 30 gold. Eileen got annoyed. She bids 30 gold. The auctioneer commented that the bidding war just got exciting. She asked if the treasure would go to seat 17. It was all of her savings, so she prayed that it would work. The auctioneer lightened up. When seat 1 bids 35 gold, the audience's jaw dropped. Eileen felt miserable. One of Hart's men approached her to deliver the message from his boss. He stated with a mocking face, "Already out of money? If you can't afford to play, don't show up. It isn't a place for paupers." Hart laughed as he imagined what their faces looked like after that. The auctioneer stated that it was the final call. Yi grabbed the number from Eileen's hand. He stood up, and he bids 50 gold. Everyone in the room was surprised. Eileen glared at him. Hart finds it interesting. He stated that all of those years that he's been an Olaf agent, he never seen anyone dare to outbid them to the end. He pressed the button and raised his bid to 55 gold. The bid kept increasing. Now seat 1 is at 80 gold. Yi offered 90 gold. Eileen told him that they can't get any higher than that. Yi had planned it well since they got 80 gold on them, and Ji said that the villa is at least 20 gold, so he knew they could keep going. He told her not to panic and focused on securing the item first. If it comes down to it, he'll talk to Zay. Zay replied that he's right because it was just a few gold coins. He was actually behind them, and told them not to worry, because whatever they are short on, he'll cover it. The subordinate told Hart that they can't keep bidding because they are already way past the family's budget, and Ji was backing them. Yi taunted them by putting up his middle finger and mouthed that if they can't play, they shouldn't come. Hart was so annoyed. The auction ended. Eileen thanked them for everything that night. She promised Yi to repay little by little what she owes him. He told her not to act so formal and reminded her that every coin should be invested into becoming stronger. He reasoned that he just followed her advice until the end. They were surprised when the ground shook. Ji asked what's going on. Eileen received an emergency alert. All extermination squad members are to respond to disaster level A in the stronghold. There were so many birds that flew on the outside of the walls. A large monster emerged from the ground. It looked like a giant caterpillar except for its large mouth with sharp teeth. When its foot reached the ground, it released a powerful energy, and it kept increasing, to the point that the ground shook. And Zay asked what was going on. That was the time Eileen received the summon. Then she was instructed to gather the patrol teams and escort citizens to the nearest shelters. She was going to say something to those two, but Yi cuts her off by saying that she doesn't need to say more because, in times like that, every combat unit counts. He was all hers to mobilize. Zay was up for it too. She told them to follow her, and they started running. Some parts of the city were in flames. A drone announced to the civilians that they should immediately go to the nearest shelter. The civilians ran. They panicked. A loud roar made them stop for a second. A woman pointed at the sky. There were gigantic bugs flying around, and it landed on the ground. It squashed some humans. Upon witnessing that, the humans were enveloped in fear. They ran as fast as they could. A little girl stood there crying and yelling for her mother. Fortunately, her mother found her. Large items were falling from the sky, and a lot of humans were injured from it. Apparently, it was monsters that looked like spiders, but had point shells and they squeaked like mice. It immediately attacked. The human bled while it ate them. They attacked one after another. The mother hugged her child and ran, but a monster blocked her path. She stood frozen as she saw it attack. She just closed her eyes. Fortunately, Yi came on time. She saw the creature was cut in half, and it was done by Yi. Yi circulated flame in his arms and channeled it through his lance, which wrecked the monster. The mother who saw her was speechless. She thanked him. Yi noticed a commotion. Eileen grabbed two men by the collar at the same time. One person recognized that it was those same guys who showed up with Tony. He couldn't believe that those awakeners stood by while civilians got slaughtered by monsters, then disguised themselves as normals to run to the shelter. Eileen introduced herself to them and told them that she's drafting them both into the reserve force effective immediately for the city's defense. The brown-haired man replied that he came there to take his money and not throw away his life. He questioned how they would pay him if he gets injured. The other one defended that it was the squad's business and had nothing to do with them. Then the brown-haired one told Yi that since he liked showing off too much, he hoped that the monsters take down the hotshot for that year. Then he walked away. Eileen released her spider silk and wrapped it around the man and brought him down. He asked what she's doing. She stepped on his cheek and asked if she didn't make herself clear. She emphasized that it was a conscription, not a negotiation. She ordered them to take them away and treat them as deserters. The man yelled no because he's an Olympic athlete and he's not even on the extermination squad. He yelled that she can't do it. Yi pointed out that the city's crawling with monsters, and yet he's still sucking up to the four families. It made him undeserving to join the squad. Eileen received an order to assist the Vermilion Gate. At the Vermilion Gate, a loud explosion happened. She called Yi to come with him. They rode a motorcycle, and when they arrived at the gate, another explosion happened. Monsters crawled in. She told him that they have no time to wait for backup, so they're going in. She stopped the motorcycle and used her spider silk to go through the door while holding on to Yi. She reached the top of the wall and saw several corpses of both humans and monsters. Yi was frustrated that they got there late. He saw the monsters on the other side of the wall and asked if it's just the two of them that would take all those out. She was contemplating. Then she saw the cannon. She told him that if the cannon still works, they can hold the line. She told him to hold off the monsters for 2 minutes while she got the cannon running. Several gigantic insect-type monsters flew towards them. Yi got flustered that it was just him, and for 2 minutes, he had no choice but to hold the line. He used Cockroach Scythe and defeated a bunch of monsters in an instant. He saw the crawling monster getting past him. He used Sticky Tongue and wrapped it around the monster and threw it away. He yelled that none of them would get past him. A large monster roared. It caught his attention. In a blink of an eye, it was already latched onto him. He summoned his lance and sliced it in half. He was already out of breath. Another monster towered over him. He admitted to himself that he can now understand why those two didn't dare to step onto the battlefield. One wrong move against those things would mean death. He checked the human corpse beside him. The man's skin had melted, and it showed his muscles and teeth. Yi looked determined. He faced the monster. He leapt to evade its attack, and then stab it from the top. He was thinking that being scared shouldn't be used as an excuse to run. He took a piece of the monster's flesh and ate it. He acquired the dragon-grasping claw trait. His arms had transformed, and he sliced those monsters who were coming at him. Unexpectedly, there's a quick attack in front of him. The dust scattered when the monster's sharp leg hit the ground. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the Vermilion Gate, there's a crawling monster that is carrying its egg. There are a lot of baby monsters inside that egg. It threw the egg in the air, and upon crashing, it caused an explosion and freed those baby monsters. At this point, Yi already looked exhausted. If that continued, he knew that those monsters won't stop coming. He wondered where the 2-minute backup is now, but he also knew that if he lost the wall, the city would be destroyed, and more people will die. That alone motivated him. He declared that from the moment he stepped on the wall, retreating wasn't an option. He stood up and released flames. A horde of monsters were on its way towards him. He released more flames, and it enveloped his lance in swirling motion. The trait is called Scorching Heaven Molten Spiral, and that burned several monsters all at once. The fire kept burning. The night sky had now appeared. Inside the city's control room. One man lost his temper when none of the defense systems were activated, and the main crystal isn't responding. He ordered the activation sequence again. They were in a bad situation, where the sequence runs, but the crystal isn't reacting at all. Someone volunteered to do it. He was confused about who that person was. They recognized that it was a rookie. They knew it was Ji, and their whole clan was the one who developed the whole defense system. They admitted that no one knew the system better than him. Ji worked on it. 2 monster-like arms appeared from his back, and it also moved while his 2 other arms were busy typing. Then he noticed it. The crystal loop was functioning, and crystal energy amplifiers were online. Plus, the threat detection signals are stable. The crystal hardware is fine. So he thought of one good reason. He typed so fast. And just as he thought there was an energy interruption, it means that someone used the emergency override during system diagnostics to cut off all energy output from the crystals. From watchtowers, outer defense bunkers, to energy defense cannon inside the city, and even the triple layer core powering the entire defense hub, all of it were disabled by the cutoff. He also knew that the shutdown command isn't even used during regular maintenance. It made him think that someone sabotaged the city's defenses on purpose. He couldn't believe them. It's like they're handing the city to the monsters. He ordered the rebooting of the city's internal defense weapons. He kept typing on the keyboard. The crystal started emitting energy. The cannons glowed. And it started firing. They celebrated when they saw that the systems are back online. Z was still focused on his work. He watched people getting rescued. He felt relieved that the extermination squad runs full-scale disaster drills so often. The church is handling the evacuation and medical support on the ground. The intelligence bureau is keeping order inside the city. They guided the civilians where to go, and the military had originally planned to leave the extermination squad alone to wear them down during the monster invasion, to the point that the entire city is on the verge of collapsing. So, they were forced to step in. Z was thinking that if they had just mobilized earlier, even with the sabotaged system, the damage wouldn't have been that bad. He knew it wasn't over yet. Even though they rebooted the defense system, the remaining functional turrets still needed to hold the line no matter what. He was aware that the wall cannot fall. If they lose it, the city is gone. Meanwhile, Yi is already panting. He could barely stand up. He killed tons of monsters already, but a lot of them are still coming. They won't even give him time to breathe. After that last molten spiral, he can't fire another one for a while. He asked Eileen loudly if she wasn't done yet. At this point, Yi faced a large monster. Its body was long, it had several feet, and its mouth was so wide and had lots of pointy teeth. Yi looked exhausted, but he battles it. He pierced the monster's mouth with his lance, then it made it explode. He stepped back and checked the cannon. Eileen said it just needs 2 minutes, but 2 minutes became 4, and now, it's almost 10 minutes of him fighting alone. He asked loudly if she's done already. The monster saw the cannon. It moved so fast. Yi noticed it. It went above him, and straight to the cannon. Yi got alarmed when he saw that. He moved quickly and rode on top of the monster's head. He gripped his lance with both of his hands and gathered so much force to pierce it. But the monster kept going. He couldn't stop it. Fortunately, the cannon fired, and it hit the monster directly. Yi asked if it was over. Eileen stood up and replied that it took longer, but the crystal has been restored. The cannons kept firing. Several monsters were hit all at once. Some men marched in. Yi saw them. Eileen was glad that they're finally in position. She ordered them that the wall turrets will be back online soon, but until then, they must hold the line no matter what. They all replied yes. Little did they know that several little monsters were watching the wall, and they launched themselves in the air. The extermination squad fired. They get to hit the monsters. And they continued firing, but sadly, one of the monsters landed on a soldier and got eaten. The colleague who saw that fired at the monster. Then he told his colleague to get up. But to his surprise, a monster appeared from his side, and it latched to his neck, and he fell. The other men kept firing. They kept going despite the tears flowing from their eyes. The monsters got hit. The battlefield was chaotic. There was one who's screaming in anger, one who was begging for help, and there were a lot of monster noises. Yi kept fighting too. He sliced up a large monster. He's breathing heavily. He glanced behind him and asked the soldiers if they could still hang on. He told them that he will cover that side while they fall back for now. But when he checked, only he was the last one left standing. He turned pale. Then he felt angry. He cursed all those monsters. He unleashed a powerful explosion while yelling at them to die. Then, the tower lit up. There was a door beneath the wall, and it opened. It revealed a cannon. It was gigantic. Someone called Eileen. It was from the HQ. They informed her that the Guardian cannon is fully charged. A horde of monsters charged forward. Eileen ordered to fire. The cannons released powerful beams. Since there were several cannons, it covered a wide area. The outside of the wall had massive explosions. A lot of monsters got caught up in it. They perished. Yi watched it happen. He had this sullen expression on his face. The explosions kept going, one after another. Later on, the area was cleared. The cannons were done firing. Yi saw that most of them were dead, and the ones who survived had run away. Eileen told him that the Guardian cannon kills packs of those monsters, but it needed to recharge before every shot. She elaborated that normally, when a classy abyssal breach happens, they detect energy spikes days or even weeks in advance, and that gives them time to prepare near any possible entry points, but this time, Yi was quiet. Eileen's body trembled as she admits that there wasn't even a hint of warning. Yi just listened. Then he pats her shoulder. There were a lot of corpses in front of them. Yi told her that none of it was her fault. She knew that. Her tears fell. She admits that it was hard to take. Unexpectedly, an explosion happened. They were caught off guard. Something on the ground was crawling towards them, and it left a trail of dust. It came out and revealed a humongous monster. It had several tentacles, and it targeted the cannons. Yi couldn't believe it. It hit the wall, and it crumbled. Yi was falling, but he got concerned when he opened his eyes, because Eileen was falling too. He used extra long ape arms to reach her. He was able to grab her. Then he used his other arm to hand onto the rocks and stop them from falling. Eileen opened her eyes. She saw that all of their cannons got destroyed in an instant. Yi was dumbfounded. When he is a humongous monster. It had a shark head with a large mouth and pointy teeth, several eyes and feet in front while its body is long, and on its sides are the tentacles. Eileen told him that they can't let it destroy the wall. They immediately got moving, and targeted its head. Yi used his lance while Eileen used her blade. They struck at the same time, but nothing happened. It didn't even flinch. Yi had to step back. Since it had a tough skin, he decided to go for its eyes. He hit it, but his eyes couldn't even penetrate it. He was lost. Then the monster shook him off, and he fell. The monster bit on the wall, then ate it. Yi watched it while he was falling. The monster had taken a big portion of the wall. Eileen cursed out loud. Yi grouped up with her. She's worried that the wall would collapse. They saw the monster looking at the sky, and then it opened its mouth. It was ready to devour them. A blonde man saw them. He raised his red hammer and hit it. Those two were surprised. Eileen recognized the man. It was Captain Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao is the Unit 1 captain of Extermination Squad Unit 1. He grouped up with them. Yi couldn't believe that the uncle was their captain. Eileen looked proud in introducing her squad captain. She stated that he's second to Commander Corey in the entire extermination force. She explained that he looked like that because his ability lets him control his blood in combat. And he spent years in continuous battle, so he has chronic anemia. Blood was drained out of the monster corpses. It turned into fists. The captain controlled several blood fists in the air. She warned Yi not to let the appearance fool him. Yi's eyes widened in shock. The monster got hit with the fist and it groaned out loud. It looked angry now. Then its limbs charged at Ling Xiao. Both Yi and Eileen moved too. The monster shattered the area they were previously in. While dodging the attack, Yi got worried because the recent attack made a crack on the city wall, and he got worried for the captain, but Eileen told him to relax. She knew that an attack like that won't do anything to him. Ling Xiao had blocked it with a long stick. He was unscathed, and he counter-attacked using his large hammer. Then the blood hammer morphed. It became a trap. That holds the monster down. The monster was immobilized, and it roared out loud. Ling Xiao bit his thumb to bleed, and he addressed those who lie buried there. He acknowledged their fear, their rage, and their sorrow, and told them that he had heard them all. He extracted their blood and combined it. It created a long blood sword. He stated that with the remnants of their blood, he will end the beast. The monster roared loudly as if it felt its impending doom. Ling Xiao swung his blood sword, and it sliced the monster. Yi watched it intently. The monster's humongous body was sliced lengthwise, and it bursts open. Just like that, it was left in two pieces. Yi couldn't believe the terrifying pressure. He now knows the power of the first squad's captain. After that, it rained blood on where Ling Xiao is. He turned to Eileen and told her that he's proud of everyone. He knew that not a single soul had faltered at the end. He could feel that even then, their blood still burns with that fighting spirit. Eileen told him to make the bleeding on his finger stop first. He didn't notice that because he got carried away after warming up. He looked for his bandage. Eileen gave him some instead. Ling Xiao stated that the grudge will be settled after he had slain the Abyssal Lord. Yi realized that he had no time to relax. Although he had come far since his return, compared to a squad captain-level awakener, he knew he still had a long way to go. He turned to the sky and saw aircrafts flying towards them. It deployed bombs. The ground had several explosions. Zi was inside a mech, and he told Yi that from then on, they could leave it to Zhang family's tech. He told him that the entire defense system of Nirai City was built with their technology, and by dawn, the repair drones will get the walls back to usable condition. Yi was impressed. He stated that compared to the kind of black tech, the old outpost felt like a primitive village. It is no wonder that everyone wants to move to Nirai City. Ling Qiao told Yi that the commander wants him and Eileen to report to the Supreme Council. He added that it includes Ji, too. Yi replied that the wall won't be fixed soon, and if they all leave and the monsters come back. Ling Xiao informed him that he's staying. He wished the monsters would come because he could use some warm-up. They obeyed the order. At Nirai City Parliament building, Eileen, Yi, and Jay stood before tall screens. Jia reported what happened. Then, Eileen completed her report too. Rhodes glared at them. Zhong Siwei, the president of Zhong Group and head of the Zhong family, stated that the primary cause of the Nirai City's breach during the Abyssal invasion was the deliberate sabotage of the core power system that prevented all 3 defense layers from activating in time. He added that Eileen's report confirms that once power was restored, the city defenses held up fine. He proposed the council to launch a full investigation. Bai Genting, the head of the Bai family and director of intelligence, replied that the intelligence department will handle the inquiry, but he believed that there's a more urgent matter to discuss. Siwei countered by saying that Genting realized that they can't pin the fault on them, so they are just sweeping it under the rug. A woman told them to stop. She was Taizia User, the head of the User family, and the high priestess of the Esper Church. She told them that the top priority is dealing with the unexpected emergence of the A-class Abyss. She asked Commander Corey 1 when he will the Abyss Suppression Squad be deployed. Corey responded that the Extermination Squad and elite fighters from each faction had already gathered, but there was an incident. He received a message just before the meeting. He showed them a video of a monster, similar to what Ling Xiao defeated, wrapping its tentacles on a truck. The man on the video sought help. He told them that Facility 12 is under a monster invasion. Yi doesn't know that is. Eileen explained that it's the most top-secret Zhong facility. Ji's sister is the head of it. Even Eileen doesn't have the clearance to know what they're researching. She got worried for his sister. Yi was surprised to know that something that important isn't inside the city. Eileen replied that it was supposed to be, but the council rejected the plan. Because of advanced tech safety risks, they forced them to relocate it outside the city walls. Yi understood that it was a deliberate setup. He asked if they had been evacuated and also if his sister was okay. Corey admitted that no warning signals were received, and nearly everyone at the facility is still trapped inside. He planned to delay the deployment of the suppression squad and send Ling Xiao to lead a rescue mission to Facility 12 first. Taizia objects. She told him that the church senses the energy inside the abyss, and it is still growing stronger, so, if they don't eliminate the Lord soon, things could spiral beyond control. Corey decided to let Captain Pharaoh of the second squad handle the rescue, and the suppression squad would proceed as scheduled. Genting expressed that it won't work. He reasoned that the current squad doesn't meet the minimum requirement of 10 Tier 1 Awakeners needed to raid an A-class Abyss, and even with the commander personally leading them, every squad-level Tier 1 is essential to take down the Abyssal Lord in the first strike. Siwei got triggered and blamed him for forcing Facility 12 outside the city. He questioned if he's just going to sit and let them die. Rhodes Olaf, the military chief, and the Speaker of the Parliament responded that the top priority is eliminating the Abyssal Lord, and the longer they delay, the more danger the city will be in. He concluded that the suppression squad will proceed as planned. Deep inside, he thinks that Siwei is a useless fool for refusing to merge with the Olaf family before, and now he's expecting support. Corey knew that Rhodes gave a noble speech, but in reality, he just wanted to crush the Zhong family. Even at that moment, he's aware that they're scheming something. Yi said that he gets it now, that none of them are planning to help. He caught the attention of all the heads. He declared that he'll go by himself. Sometime later, a helicopter flew in the sky. It was a large, powerful helicopter widely used in militaries for heavy lift transport and troop cargo deployment, and it was headed to a pit where reddish-black lightning comes out. The lightning crawls on the ground. The helicopter stopped. Yi and Eileen stood in front of a truck. Eileen informed Yi that every combat unit in the extermination force, including her, was mobilized for abyss suppression. That's why Yi had to lead the rescue team on his own, and they won't be able to give him additional support. Yi recalled the meeting. He was informed that the Supreme Defense Council had rejected the rescue operation. Every member of the extermination force must join the abyss suppression team. He replied that he's not officially part of the extermination force yet. He's volunteering to rescue Research Facility 12, and they can't stop him. So at this point, Commander Corey already risked the Council's wrath just to smuggle them through and avoid monsters roaming the ground. And that was already a huge help. He had team members who had volunteered as well. Ji, who's worried about his sister's safety, and the 2 contestants who initially questioned his ability during the first competition. Lastly, There was Yao, whom he met during Abyss training. He told them that the mission wasn't like defending Minghai City, and he doesn't even know how dangerous it will be. The two men called him boss and yelled that they will be with him all the way. Yao expressed that he saved her life, so she owes him. It was announced through speakers that they were approaching the drop-off zone. Rescue teams were instructed to prepare for deployment. Yi thanked them for trusting him. He wouldn't say much more than that, and with that, he instructed the rescue team to move out. They all replied, "Yes, sir." The door of the helicopter opened, and the truck drove away. Yi watched behind them through the side mirror, until his attention was called. Z told him that before they left, his dad said that no matter how it ends, he only regrets not being strong enough to rescue his daughter himself. With that, Z had saved them twice, both in their darkest hour. The Zhang family never forgot his kindness. Yi replied that he knew what it was like to be trapped, hoping to be saved by someone that will come. So if he doesn't help when he can, he knows that he'll regret it, which is why he wanted to stay true to himself. Then Yi told him to stop calling him benefactor already, because people might think he's some old man. He's not much older than him, so he suggests that he calls him bro instead. As they approached, the night sky was covered with thick smoke. Large flames burned the area. The tall buildings were on fire. They alighted the truck. Yi realized that the monsters attacked there as hard as they did in Minghai City. He was worried that they arrived late. Suddenly, they heard someone scream under the rubbles. They saw a hand through the crevice. Yi and Zhe immediately ran towards it. They saw a man whose half of his body was trapped under the rubbles. He was weak and catching his breath. Zhe told him to hang on as he prepares to save him. But Yi's instincts told him otherwise. He told Zhe to watch out. Water came out of the man, and it wrapped around Zhe's arm. The water has a core with a single eye. Zhe realized that the monster was waiting to ambush them. The water monster held Zhe. While the man was waist-deep in the water, he begged them to kill him. Zhe realized that the man was a bait. Then he saw his hand starting to have corrosion. Someone arrives. Yi had cut the water, and Zhe was able to break free. The water reattached, and grabbed Zhe again. Yi used his eye. He was able to identify the monster as Fluid Goliath Juvenile. Its body is entirely composed of liquid. Slicing its body deals no real damage. Yi told Zhe that physical attacks won't work on it, so he has to destroy the crystal core, which was near its shoulder. But Zhe couldn't see its weak spot at all. Zhe clenched his fist. He gathered his strength on his arm and decided to freeze it. Then they slashed it in half, and it shattered. It got deeper into the night. Zhe crouched at the half-body man. He was sad since he just saw him at last week's briefing, and now he ended up like that. Our boy shared that back when he lived at the outpost. Food scavenging teams never came back with everyone intact. That's what it is to live in an apocalypse. Yao called their captain and reported that there's no other sign of survivors nearby. They have tried every communication frequency, but there's been no response. It made her question if that was really the case. That made Zia teary. Then he told Yi that the main structure of the research facility was underground. The defense systems down there should be strong enough to hold off the monsters. He had hoped that his sister and the others must have been trapped somewhere below. Unexpectedly, the ground exploded. They were all surprised. They watched to see that it was. Several water monsters emerged. Ji had the look of despair. He charges right in and continuously froze them. His gloves had started to corrode. Yao and the two men were attacked too. The water monster towered over them. Yao released electricity through her staff. It reached the attacking water monster, but to their surprise, it didn't really do much. And then some red, long, rope-like creature circled them. They were bound by it. It was from our MC, and through it he was able to drag them away and save them from the water monster's attack. While Zoe was surrounded by water, he sat there trembling and hopeless. He cried for his sister. Unexpectedly, he heard someone calling him. The person asked if he could hear her. Recognizing that it was sister made him smile. Through the screen, Zhao asked if it really was his sister. His sister saw him through the screen being surrounded by the water monster. There were 4 of them watching through the screen. She told everyone that they have to distract the monster first. This right here is the sister of Zhe, and her name is Zhong Yi. Back to these 4, they were being surrounded now. Yi got burnt. Steam comes out from his skin. Then, we see Zhe ran really fast. He told everyone to follow him. His sister told him to head right quickly. Then she instructed them to go left at the next turn and then climb over. The water monster followed them. Ji found the entrance. They hurriedly get inside and shut the door just in time. Because the water monster attempted to head inside too, but it wasn't able to pass through. They were all breathing heavily. When they saw the screen at the ceiling, Zhongyi was displayed. She smiled at them. Ji was relieved to see her. He really thought they were late. Zhongyi happily informed him that she made it. She created a crystal that can keep growing. Yi apologized for interrupting them. He requested someone to explain what exactly is happening. Zhongyi apologized that they got carried away. She explained that after the abyssal invasion started, they didn't have time to evacuate. The facility got surrounded by monsters. The moment they emerged from the abyss, the monsters went straight in the hideout. And they have been relentlessly trying to breach the underground levels, and she believes they are all minions summoned by it. She showed them a captured water monster. Yao was surprised to learn that they were researching live monsters there. Zhongyi replied that in the present, awakeners can only grow stronger by acquiring higher-grade monster crystals. But once their own power surpasses the crystal's original monster level, they can't fully unleash their strength. Fluid Goliaths devour each other to evolve and become stronger, and they use that trait to create a crystal that grows with its wielder's power. She was so happy for her sister that she pulled it off. She replied yes, and because of that, everyone can carry a crystal that lets them unleash their full potential. But there's a downside. Unlike overpowering themselves with a high-tier monster crystal, that method won't give them an instant strength boost. Yi told them to hold it right there. He knew it was appropriate to congratulate them, but the reality was that they can't fight their way through the main entrance to get the rest of the people out. He asked her if there's any way they could reach her. Zhongyi firmly replied that they should forget about them. She pressed a button that showed the blueprint of the underground hideout. She claimed that the place was done for. Instead, she'll guide them to the internal database so they could get the research data and get out of there. She couldn't believe she's saying that. It was like saying that he should just stand there and watch her die. Zhongyi insists that the growth crystal technology was more important than anyone there. But Yi refused. He told her that if she doesn't have a better plan, then he'll break in there himself. That left her silent. Eventually, she admitted that there's one option. She told them that every underground level has a rail transport system for moving supplies. The tunnels are sealed, so they're still intact at the moment. And they can use that to evacuate. The problem was, the central room was destroyed, so the rails have no power. They will have to restore the power station on the surface first. Then they will need to open the main gate toward Minghai City. But opening the gate makes a ton of noise, so it will attract every monster nearby, and the person opening it won't make it back. In short, it was too dangerous. Yi confidently replied that they'll stick together and he'll head to the transport rail at once. He instructed Ji to restore power and he'll handle the gate at the power station. The two men saw what's inside and were confused about what it was. There was a large tower with several wires. Ji told them to follow his instructions. When they see a light turn on, they must press the button near it. He inserted the wires from his fingers. Then he pressed on his earpiece. With that, he's connected to the system, and power will be restored in 600 seconds. He asked the status of others. Yi and Yao were making their way at the entrance. They're close to the gate. Yi reported that they had reached it, and he assured them that they'll be there before Jie restored the power. Jie told him that once the power was back, he'll have 30 seconds to open the gate. If the gate wasn't open in time, the transport car won't be able to pass through, so he has to move fast. Meanwhile, the researchers started packing up their stuff. An old researcher told the other researcher to copy the footage from the final experiment. Then, another researcher reported to the director, Zhongyi, that all wounded personnel had been loaded onto the transport car. She reported through her earpiece that they're ready too. Then, she instructed everyone to board. And everything that they haven't packed at that point stays. Everyone made their way quickly. They boarded the train. She asked if everyone was there because they had reached the final 10 seconds. Yi reported that the gate was ready. Director Zhongyi yelled that the transport car was now in position. Jay turned on the power. The area around the transport car lit up. Everyone looked around. Director Yi happily reported that the power was restored to the underground station. One of the wounded near the window noticed something. It surprised him, because the monsters were coming. Several fluid Goliaths made their way towards them. Director Yi told them to hold on tight. She pressed the power button, and the train started moving. They left behind the fluid Goliath. It tried to follow them. They reached a gate. It opened in time, and they were able to pass through. The fluid Goliath bursts through the gate. It corroded the metal gate. The researchers saw them and yelled to go faster. Because they're catching up, Director Yi replied that they have already maxed engine output. Giant fluid Goliaths had formed. But shots were fired towards them. The researcher who saw it was shocked. There was a machine gun on the side which attacked the monster. It kept firing. Explosions followed while Zhu stood on the side of the machine gun. They were surprised to find out that Ji was controlling the defense turrets. They felt relieved and assumed that they were already safe. But a beeping sound notified Director Yi. The gate open signal wasn't detected. She wondered what's happening at the gate. The gate was stuck. Unfortunately, it malfunctioned. If it doesn't open in time, the whole plan was done for. Yi and Yao were lost on what to do. They couldn't believe that the gate malfunctioned. The transport car was already in sight. Zhe yelled that the transport car was coming. He, along with the two men, stepped on the roof of the transport car. He slid in. He was happy to find his big sister. He hugged her while crying in gratitude that she made it, but she told him to cut it out since the gate hasn't been opened yet. Meanwhile, Yao stood on the side of the gate to check. She found out that the hydraulics were broken. Ji replied that there's no time, so if everything fails, they'll ditch the car. Director Yi replied no. She reasoned that the place was swarming with monsters, and if they abandon the car, they'll be surrounded and slaughtered. Meaning, the transport car was their only safe way back to the city. Yi tried to push it open. He was in his giant snake-ape arm form. He grits his teeth as he tries to widen the gap. Yao reported that Yi said he'll push the gate open. The old researcher couldn't believe that. It was because the gate takes for 10,000-ton hydraulic presses to move, so there's no way a human can do that. Yi gave his all. But he realized that even with the giant snake-ape arm active, he still can't move it. So he decided to turn his whole body into a gate-opening machine. His form had changed, and Sticky Tongue got activated. He used the Sticky Tongue to pull forward with added tension. Then, he activated the venomous spider stinger. After that, he'll use the stinger to anchor his legs to the ground. His elastic muscles have been activated. Then he used his force. He grits his teeth as he gives his all. The system warned him of severe muscle tearing. It immediately initiated repairs. Yao couldn't believe her eyes. Yi was already bleeding through his mouth, but he still compressed every ounce of his strength with elastic muscles. It was all or nothing. He's getting frustrated. That burst of energy made the gate move. Yao reported that the gate was opening. The researcher's jaw dropped. Director Yi couldn't believe that the insane plan actually worked. Yi asked for 3 minutes more. He reinstated that even 2 minutes will do, but the fluid Goliath dripped from the ceiling, and then it fell all at once. It targeted Yi. He cursed that it happened then of all times. He can't even spare a hand to deal with them at that moment. She asked if he could hold on. Then he noticed someone gearing up. Director Yi wore a suit. She leapt out of the train, to which Meg Zhe asked where she's going. She told him to stay out of it and just focus on the transport car to get everyone back safely. Then she headed out. She knew she had to open the final underground floor and let the monster's master draw them away. Yao fought the fluid Goliath. She electrocuted them. But the monsters nearby were also heading towards them, and there were too many. Yi stayed in his position, while the fluid Goliath wraps itself around him. Director Yi informed him that she will release the monster's master underground to draw those monsters below. She told him to hang in there and open the gate before the train arrives. The monster's face was in front of Yi's face. Then it covered his face to drown him. The train kept going. One of the men pointed at something. They could already see the gate, but he knew that they wouldn't make it. She checked, and they were already running at half speed, and they couldn't afford to slow down anymore. Everyone in the transport car got worried, and they saw the monster passing through the cracks. It already bored the roof of the train. Z had no other way but to speed up. He pressed the button, and the fluid Goliath was blown away. They checked the window, and it was gone. They assumed that it was enough to shake it off, but it approaches them again. The man on the roof was surprised to see it. It wrapped itself around the man and threw him away. The monster already showed its form inside the train. The researchers felt hopeless. The old researcher from the back saw what was happening. He thought long and hard. He pressed something, and it revealed his gear. Zha saw him in his gear. He stated that the youngsters were the future, so old folks burn off what strength they have left. Then he ran outside the train. Tears pooled in Zha's eyes as he watched him leave. The old researcher, whom Zhe called Uncle Day, caught the attention of the monster. It tried to block his path, but he pressed a warning button. Then an explosion followed. Zhe cried. Meanwhile, Yao was trying to hold off the monster, and Yi was drowning because of it. Being in this predicament, Ji cursed out loud. A loud cracking sound echoed. It was so deafening that they covered their ears. The man with them asked what was going on. She saw something surprising. They saw that all the monsters were heading back to the main building. On top of the monsters outside, the brakes of the transport car were jammed so they couldn't slow down. One of their allies suggested that they jump off, otherwise they're going to crash. Z argues that jumping off at full speed was no different than crashing. Even if the two of them survive, it might not be the case for everyone else on board. They were all counting on Yi. Yi gave his all to spread the door wide open. They cheered for him. He meant it when he said to leave the gate to him. The gate flew as he managed to open it widely. Then he jumped high. Everyone cheered. Yao got in the transport car. So panicked that Yi wasn't getting on it. Yi told them to get the others back to the city first. He promised to save his sister, no matter what. And the transport car couldn't be seen anymore. Meanwhile, at the underground lab's deepest floor, Director Yi filmed something while thinking that all the fluid Goliaths outside were all drawn by this fluid Goliath in the shape of a human. It had a face with small red eyes, and the other fluid Goliaths charged towards it. Director Yi was confused and surprised that they were attacking the Archbeast. The water splashed all around, and the fluid Goliaths were absorbed and merged into the Archbeast. Director Yi realized what was happening. Those monsters weren't just letting their Archbeast devour them. The Archbeast was using some method to lure them in, and they're trying to... The fluid Goliath devoured their own. They had to devour their kin to grow stronger, then they would challenge their own master. They attached the Archbeast, but in just one water slash. The head was cut off. Director Yi thought they were trying to break free. The removed part was getting attached. The Archbeast wrapped its limbs on the devious fluid Goliath, and then merged with it, which created a bright light. Director Yi had to cover eyes from it. It created a splash. Director Yi got curious, so she opened her eyes. And she saw a well-formed human-shaped water. It was surprising, because it looked human with its curly hair, bright blue eyes, and mouth, except for its pearlescent body. She got excited upon seeing the brand-new evolution stage of the fluid Goliath. She recorded that it was documented by her from Research Facility Number 12. She hoped that someone would recover the footage someday, but at that moment, she pressed a button. Some small turrets from the ground appeared. She had to deal with it, so she had to spray some mist. It made the fluid Goliath's body crack. The fluid Goliath got confused. It broke free by cutting off the leg and regenerated a new one. Then, it stomped on the turrets. Director Yi didn't expect that. She pointed more turrets at it. It froze its shoulder. Then it spoke. It had just learned how humans use energy. It crushed the frozen arm. Director Yi was surprised to find that the freezing ray doesn't even work. She pressed the button again, and the rays were shot. It got hit on most parts of its body. Unexpectedly, it absorbed it. Director Yi was surprised that it was evolving, and constantly at that. The new stage of Goliath can adapt to enemy attacks, then develop resistance to them. It turned its attention to her, then extended its arm. It was about to grab her. Then it reached her. It realized that it was her who locked it in there. It was curious what would happen if it devoured a human. With a devilish grin, it expressed that it will savor every bite. Director Yi shrieked loudly. She just closed her eyes helplessly. Unexpectedly, in a flash of light, the fluid Goliath's hold on her was loosened. It was surprised, because Yi appeared and saved her. Yi looked at the monster. When Director Yi saw him, her first statement was, "Are you stupid?" She looked worried, because the monster only intended for her to die, but now it was going to kill both of them. Yi stated that he hated the plans where one person sacrifices themselves to save everyone else. He got stronger, so he'd never have to watch that happen again. Director Yi teased him by saying that he's a cringy idiot after all. The fluid Goliath yelled, "That's enough!" Yi glanced at it. Our boy asked if it was the leader of the monsters. He was curious why it was small and where the other monsters went. She told him that it was devoured by it. The fluid Goliath realized that she was the one in charge there. It was furious that she locked it up there and tortured it day and night. Even when it begged, they laughed at it like it was entertainment, and now it wants revenge. Yi glared at it. Yi teased Director Yi by saying that her research methods were a bit excessive. She wasn't embarrassed by it because, in her defense, it got a magic core that evolves endlessly. Yi just smiled. Our boy told the monster that they have turned their world into a wasteland, so there was nothing wrong with asking them to contribute to human science. It claimed that humans deserve to die. It extended its arm to punch Yi. Yi braced for the attack. He got squashed between the fist and the wall. Then the monster grabbed Yi. It raised its arm and threw Yi at the ceiling, which made Yi cough blood. Yi was caught off guard. The monster was already in his face and was about to kick him. Its foot landed at the center of his back, which made him crash on the ground with a powerful impact. Dust filled the air. Director Yi got worried for him. The monster waited for the dust to subside. It watched it carefully. It revealed Yi kneeling on the ground. He didn't expect something that small to have such destructive power. The system notified him that Goliath gains full strength of whatever it devours. Yi used his skills to see its weak point. He had nothing to be afraid of as long as he had that. Then, our boy dashed forward. The monster extended both of its arms and grabbed him in his arms and lifted him up in the air. The cockroach god appeared and informed him that the Goliath continuously evolves to adapt to enemy attacks. Yi complained that he should have informed him earlier. The fluid Goliath tried to rip him apart. It even had a devilish grin while it did that. Yi started to bleed. Yi grits his teeth. Despite the pain, he looked determined. His arm transformed and he was able to slash through the monster. The fluid Goliath was in shock. Yi activated his trait called Corrosive Blade. It was an evolution of the Mantis Scythe and Corrosive Mucus traits. Then, on his leg was the Molten Blade. It was an evolution of the Mantis Scythe and the Molten Core. He kicked the monster, and it was hurt real bad. So it retaliated, but Yi was ready to counterattack too. Their fists met at the center. The impact made Director Yi scream. Then Yi activated the Stinger Carapace. With this, the venom spider tail injects paralytic poison upon contact. The venom crept up from the monster's arm. Then Yi was able to push it back. Director Yi was shocked, because Yi said he was a rare shapeshifter, but he looked like a monster at that moment. He took out his molten blade. He was about to stab it. He unleashed a powerful flame. But to his surprise, it didn't receive any damage at all. The monster let out an evil laugh and told him that he's out of time. Yi noticed that it was evolving way too fast. Just a few hits and it's already resistant to the molten blade. 3 arrows were shot and hit the monster's back. It whipped its head around. Director Yi held a bow and told Yi that she got his back. Yi was taken aback. The monster extended its hand. It was about to reach her. She jumped high to evade its hand. Then she shot another arrow, but the monster just absorbed it. The monster looked infuriated. It was caught off guard. When Yi slashed its hand, it groaned in pain. Director Yi noticed that attacking it with different types of powers at the same time actually works. It said that humans who steal divine power always cling to strength that was never theirs, and that was their greatest weakness. Director Yi cursed out loud. She knew that the fluid Goliath's most dangerous trait is its ability to emit a synchronized harmonic wave outward. Any magic crystal affected by it forms a dampening field on the surface, completely disabling energy release. Immediately, she screamed that it was their chance and they only got one shot. Yi was surprised. She released her arrow and pierced through the monster. She watched its reaction. It counterattacked with sonic waves. They braced for it. Nothing seemed to happen at first. Not until her bow lost its light. She was surprised. The monster laughed at them. It stated that a human without a crystal core is nothing but a bug to squash. She fell on her knees. She felt bad that she was very slow. She got worried since its power had completely countered the awakened humans, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. The monster liked the look of despair on her face. It crouched in front of her and told her that it will slowly absorb her, and it wanted her to scream real loudly. Out of the blue, its cheek met Yi's fist. He packed a punch and threw the monster on the opposite side. The monster crashed on the ground. It couldn't believe what happened. Yi glared at it. It wondered how he's completely unharmed. Even Director Yi was surprised. It made her think that he can use abilities without a core. They watched the monster. It cursed at them. It was puzzled on how Yi was still using his powers, but it expanded its arms so it became more muscular, and yelled at them that they're all alone, so there's nothing they could possibly do. It was determined to demonstrate everything they had thrown at him so they could still be completely useless like how it felt. Yi grinned and thanked him for the reminder. He called Fatty to attack. A bright light appeared, and a big foot stomped on the ground. A large, ominous creature appeared. Director Yi's eyes widened in surprise. She wondered if he just summoned a boss. Fatty knelt on one knee. He was large, bulky, spiky, and black. The fluid Goliath recognized him as Bloom and asked why he's there. Yi heard it and realized that the horned warlord in the hidden realm actually had a name. He wondered if there's some kind of connection between them. Fatty glared in response. Then it lifted its fist. Flames swirled around its fist. Then it punched the fluid Goliath. The fluid Goliath blocked its attack with its forearms as it realized that Fatty had betrayed them and became a dog for humans. They stood toe to toe when Fatty summoned his weapon, and the fluid Goliath summoned a sword. Then he attacked. Their weapons clashed. Director Yi had never seen that monster before, and she was surprised that it was overpowering the evolved Goliath. It made her more curious on who truly Yi was. In her head, she questioned if he's truly human. She couldn't believe that a monster that strong actually listens to him. The monsters kept fighting. The impact of their attacks made the debris scatter. It made the place dangerous, and it almost hit Yi and the director. But Yi swats it away and asks the director if she's okay. Director Yi had this creepy expression on her face. He asked her why she's staring at him like that. He admits that he was creeped out. She wanted to dissect him afterwards. But she corrected herself and told him that she'd conduct a full medical checkup on him. Yi was doomed. Director Yi was a true researcher indeed, and his secrets totally blown. Yi was speechless. He tried to come up with something, but Director Yi told him that he doesn't need to lie on the spot like that because she will keep his secret. She told him to hurry and take down the Goliath while she finds a safe place to hide. Those two monsters fought with bare hand and tried to push each other. The fluid Goliath heard what she said, "Hurry up and take me down." And to the monster, it felt like they were underestimating it. It stated that even if both of them come at him, as long as he switches his resistances fast, none of the attacks could land. Fatty told Yi that the guy won't break, and it was weird. Yi grinned and revealed that he doesn't only have one trait. He bends down, and several tentacles with blades on the end and different elements appeared. His arm also turned into a blade. It included the poison trait from the thunder spider's venom, the fire and lightning traits from the horned beast's spike, and the corrosive acid from the swamp toad's mucus. His body holds more traits than he can count on. The fluid Goliath got scared. It couldn't fathom how a human has that kind of power. Fatty tried to stab it on the head, and then flaming spikes appeared underneath it. While it was restrained, Yi attacked. He used all his blades to attack it. Then a loud explosion followed. The fluid Goliath groaned in pain. A blinding light filled the area. Director Yi told Yi to watch out. Thick smoke covered the place. They waited until it subsided. Director Yi's eyes widened at what she saw. Blood had dripped, because Yi was stabbed in the torso by the monster. The monster claimed that as long as it kills Yi, it would still have a chance. Unexpectedly, the monster was beheaded. Yi used his bladed arms to slice it. Yi revealed that he had a cockroach trait too, which means he's immortal and indestructible. The head fell on the ground. The monster cursed him out loud. It refused to have that kind of ending. Yi towered over it. Director Yi watched carefully from a distance. She was elated as she witnessed how there's definitely something weird about him. But I think she's the one who's weird. Moments later, Fatty happily greeted his big bro. He tries to hug him, but Yi shoves him away. Then Yi grabbed the head. The system informed him that the fluid Goliath had developed a wide range of traits during evolution, so it was impossible to determine which ones he might absorb. Yi took a piece of it. He was thinking that if he got the ability that disables core magic, he would be unstoppable. He swallowed the piece that he took, and to his surprise, some parts of his body froze. The system showed a warning screen. The warning kept going as the freezing parts scattered. It reached his eyes, and eventually covered his whole body. The day after the successful rescue mission, at a private room in the Zhang family estate, Yi was on a table while he was surrounded by Director Yi Jae and Eileen. He was unconscious and his whole body was frozen. Eileen asked what happened to him. Director Yi shared that his vitals were stable, so he should regain consciousness soon. But she had something to tell them. She revealed that Yi wasn't a human. She told them that he looks like them, talks and thinks like them, but his DNA was completely different from them. She believed that he took on that form just to blend into human society. Eileen's brows furrowed. Yi started to wake up because of the noise. He wondered where he was and what was going on. The cockroach god appeared and briefed him that when he absorbed the Goliath's crystal core, since it was packed with conflicting traits, his body showed signs of rejection. He shared that it was his first time seeing that, but he assured him that the side effects would subside soon. Eileen watched him intensely. Director Yi informed him that they had detected dozens of monster traits in his system. It includes the evolved Goliath's traits. She added that if he gains the ability to nullify nearby magic cores, he'll become an enormous threat to humanity. She stated that before he regains consciousness, it could be their last chance. Eileen clarified what she's implying. She asked him if she planned to lock him up somewhere. She bit her lip. Then, she replied, no. She stated that he's even more dangerous than the evolved Goliath, so the best solution was to eliminate the threat completely. Eileen and Z were surprised to hear that. She expressed that he won't let her. Even if she was his big sister, he won't let her lay a hand on his big bro. Director Yi replied that he saved their family more than once, and it was the only reason why she called just the two of them there. Because if the information leaks out, he'll be hunted down and killed. Eileen replied that she won't allow that. She stated that Yi had been fighting monsters ever since he arrived in Narumi City, so she firmly believes that he's on their side. Ji agreed. He added that even if his big bro is a monster, he could be a good monster. That comment prompted the two women to scream at him to be silent. After hearing that, Yi realized that they were debating on how to deal with him. Director Yi questioned them on how they would know that helping them wasn't just part of his act. She reminded them that when they first discovered the fluid Goliath, they thought it was harmless too. But after it grew, it called on its kind and attacked their base. The children who once took care of it died. Even though it was raised by humans, it destroyed the second largest stronghold outside Narumi City. So she concluded that if they let Yi live and he turns out to be their enemy, tens of thousands of lives in the city would be wiped out just because they hesitated. She insists that he's a monster. Eileen recalled their time together, especially during dangerous times. And during those times, Yi had trusted her. Yi even volunteered to go out on a rescue mission, which made Eileen certain that Yi won't turn on them. She dared Director Yi to do it, but Director Yi just looked down. She eventually pressed the button, and the machine with a pointy needle on top of Yi started to move. It was charging. Director Yi could recall how Yi opened the gate even if it was suicide. Yi happily volunteered to do it. She acknowledges that he saved her life. But remembering the kid fluid Goliath, and how its innocence was a facade, made her biased on her decision since Yi wasn't human, even though he saved her. She wondered if she could really trust him. The machine lit up. Her hand, which was holding the remote, had trembled. Eileen reminded her that Yi helped Ju defeat Tony at the tournament. He also held the wall when they were surrounded by monsters. And when everyone opposed going to the research lab, he was the one who rescued her. She acknowledges that Director Yi was afraid that he might one day become their enemy, but without him, she wouldn't have been alive to speak her doubts. Eileen added that the Director Yi she knew never asks for advice once she made up her mind. So, if she really wanted him dead, there was no reason for her to tell them. She urged her to just admit it. That deep down, she doesn't want to kill him either. She begged her not to do it. She looked down on the remote. She carefully thought about it. Then she tosses the remote. The machine stopped. Zhou was relieved. Eileen lets out the breath she was holding. They were all surprised when they heard Yi thanked them. He got up and thanked them for choosing to trust him. Eileen asked him when he was awake. He replied that he woke up when they started arguing. The ice on his body started to fall, and it revealed that he was naked. He watched Director Yi, but she couldn't look him in the eyes. Then he stated that he can't explain everything now, but begged them to believe in him. He promised never to betray their trust. Eileen reminded everyone that no one can know what was hidden in Yi's body, so from then on, all four of them are accomplices. Suddenly, her phone started ringing. She was informed that something happened, so was summoned to the hospital at once, at Narumi City Hospital. All four of them ran in the lobby. Yi was surprised at what he saw. Gravely injured people were on the lobby floor. An injured one promised his colleague that he'll find someone to change his dressing, so he should just hold on. The man complained that there's no one taking good care of them. Eileen was furious to find the slaughter squad wounded, and they were all in the lobby. She wondered where the medics were. Someone came out of the room and yelled for the medic. The man, who only had a scratch on his face, complained that it was still bleeding, and it hurts like hell. The nurse promised to treat him right away. Then the nurse politely told him to lie down, but the man was rude. Inside the room, there were four men who were playing cards. Yi realized that all the medics were tending to the military. He wondered if they were just going to let those injured slaughter squad members bleed out. Someone called out to Vice Captain Eileen and Director Zhang. Yi whipped his head towards the voice's direction. A military man grabbed the collar of a slaughter squad member who lost both of his arms and a leg. The man scolded him for using the supplies. The military stated that all medical equipment was under military jurisdiction and distribution was managed by the city defense forces. The scene infuriated Yi to the point that his nerves protruded. Director Yi yelled that those supplies were provided by the Zhang family to support the extermination squad. The military didn't care where they came from. They argued that since the supplies were here, the city defense forces had the right to requisition them. He seized everything. The injured man cursed at them. He bit down on his bandage and ripped it off. Then he pointed a knife at the soldiers, ready to fight to the death. The military man couldn't believe he dared to do that. Yi suddenly appeared behind him. Without wasting a second, Yi threw a punch. The soldier slammed into the wall with terrifying force and coughed up blood. The other soldier holding the box of medical supplies froze in shock. Yi stepped in front of him and took the box from his hands. He then handed it to the injured man. The soldier with the bruised cheek accused Yi of trying to rebel. Yi calmly replied that he wasn't even part of the extermination squad. He said he was just a passerby who didn't like the man's face. A giant snake ape arm shot out toward him. Unexpectedly, someone grabbed Yi's arm. Yi was stunned. It was a massive soldier from the military. He was Major General Tabit of the City Defense Forces. With brutal strength, he snapped Yi's arm. The system immediately detected a comminuted fracture. Then Major General Tabit seized Yi by the neck and slammed him to the ground. Eileen rushed forward, but Director Yi blocked her and warned her not to act. This was a trap. If anyone from the squad struck back, it would all explode. Major General Tabit announced that assaulting an on-duty soldier in a military-controlled zone was insurrection. Yi was officially under arrest. Yi clenched his teeth and endured. Meanwhile, at the Narumi City Highest Defense Council, officials discussed the latest status of the city. 2/3 of the developed districts had been damaged. Extermination squad casualties exceeded 50%. One man slammed the table and ordered the report to stop. It was Rhodes. He said they already knew the numbers and refused to waste time. The Abyss crisis was over. So he proposed resuming the selection tournament. Silence filled the screens. Rhodes knew the squad's heavy losses created the perfect chance to embed city defense personnel into their ranks and control them from the ground up. Corey's expression darkened. Rhodes ordered round 2 to be scheduled for tomorrow. Haley was shocked. She objected, saying many competitors were still injured and awaiting treatment, and none of the military representatives had even gone to the front lines. She questioned his decision. Rhodes answered her with a cold glare. Corey stopped her. She tried to speak again, but he cut her off and told her to stop. With no one else objecting, Rhodes announced that the next round would be handled by the City Defense Forces. Major General Tabit would serve as the examiner for round 2. At the same time, Major General Tabit publicly spoke about his humiliated pupil, Tony, to all of Narumi City. He knew Yi was responsible. He dragged Yi into a military prison interrogation room and hung him upside down. 2 other men were tied up on either side of him. He stayed silent, staring coldly at Tabit. Tabit told his subordinates that he didn't want these people appearing in the tournament again. Yi noticed something strange. Every person brought in was a contestant with no ties to the 4 great families. The contestants began trembling as soldiers carrying Morgenstern stepped closer. Each of them wore a disturbing grin. Yi spoke up to get their attention. They snapped their heads toward him. He mocked them, telling them to untie him if they had the guts. He claimed he could take all of them alone. With his undying trait, Yi could recover quickly, but the other injured contestants could actually be beaten to death. His arrogance enraged them. They decided to start with him. They pulled him down. A punch slammed into Yi's stomach, forcing blood from his mouth. Then, another soldier smashed a Morgenstern into his head. They kept hitting him. The beating was brutal and soaked in blood. After a while, one of them grabbed Yi by the hair. They laughed, amused that he was still acting fearless. The cockroach god told Yi to let them continue. He reminded Yi that residual crystallization still lingered in his body, and that he could use it to stabilize himself again. So Yi taunted them even harder. They fell for it. Fists rained down on him from both sides. The other contestants watched in horror. They couldn't understand why Yi was risking his life for strangers like them. All they could do was silently hope he endured. Yi kept provoking them. Blood spilled from his mouth. It splattered across a guard's face. One of the guards hesitated, worried they might actually kill him. Yi lowered his head. He made an exaggerated uh-oh expression, realizing he might have scared them into stopping. So he pushed further, mocking them again. They took the bait. Suddenly, the wall was sliced apart. The sharp sound froze everyone in place. As the wall collapsed, 3 figures stepped through the dust. It was Commander Corey, along with Haley and Eileen. They were stunned when they saw the commander. Eileen immediately demanded that everyone be released. A slow clap echoed through the room. It was Major General Tabit. He praised Commander Corey, calling him the strongest awakener, and said that with a single strike, he had broken through the prison's 36-layer alloy gate. Tabit added that people outside liked to accuse the city defense forces of being arrogant and overbearing. From his point of view, the extermination squad wasn't much better. He claimed these people had assaulted soldiers and shown signs of sedition, making their arrests lawful and justified. He asked whether the commander had come to demand an explanation. Commander Corey only responded with a cold stare. Major General Tabit casually draped an arm over Corey's shoulder and said the interrogation was finished. It had all been a misunderstanding. As a courtesy, he said, Commander Corey was free to take them away. Eileen and Haley remained on guard. Tabit turned as if to leave. Then he announced that he would be the examiner for the next round of the selection tournament. He said he had memorized all their faces. He would be waiting for them tomorrow. Especially Yi. That night, at the Research Institute inside the city. After the confrontation, all injured extermination squad members were transferred to temporary wards set up inside the institute. Eileen organized the supplies. She told me to stack the extra medicine that wouldn't fit. Then she sensed something was wrong. When she turned her head, she realized Yi wasn't in his bed. An injured man told her he had just seen Yi head up to the rooftop. A heavy punch slammed into a punching bag. It was Yi venting his anger. Eileen watched him from a distance. She didn't look amused. As he threw punch after punch, Yi ranted about how the extermination squad was treated like an enemy, even though they were humanity's last hope. They risked their lives to protect the city, only to be cast aside like trash. He said research on Goliath could help Awakeners grow stronger, yet the higher-ups would rather let monsters destroy the Institute than allow those findings to be brought back. Then he complained about the selection tournament. It was meant to find strong Awakeners to rebuild the squad and reclaim what they lost. But instead, it had become a playground for the great families. His anger boiled over. Eileen suddenly stopped his fist. Yi turned toward her. His expression shifted, a hint of concern flashing across his face. Eileen stepped closer and kissed him on the cheek. His face instantly turned red. He staggered back, stunned. He couldn't believe she had kissed him. She asked if he felt calmer now. He nodded. Our boy's weakness was just freaking exposed. Then she invited him out for a drink. He simply said, okay. Yi pulled on his shirt and followed her, at a tavern called Whiskey Bar. The place was simple and quiet. Yi's cheeks were flushed. His mind drifted back to what happened earlier. He wondered if she liked him. When he thought about the possibility that she might invite him back to her place later, his face turned even redder. He even considered saying yes. Suddenly Eileen, her own cheeks flushed, smacked him on the head and scolded him for daydreaming. She asked if he even heard what she had just said. Yi said he heard her. She told him to do exactly as she said. That was when she told him to withdraw from the tournament tomorrow. He nodded and agreed without really processing it. When the words finally sank in, he froze. He asked her why. Eileen immediately realized he hadn't been listening at all. She explained that the military had always wanted to be Narumi's only armed force. This time, they had installed their own examiner, and their plan was simple: to torture Yi and anyone trying to join the extermination squad until they were no longer able to compete. Their real goal was to swallow the entire squad. Yi said that was exactly why he couldn't back out. Eileen slammed her drink onto the table. She was clearly annoyed that he still didn't understand. She said the extermination squad had no chance. If they didn't resist, the military would slowly devour them on their own terms. But the moment they fought back, they would be labeled as rebels and wiped out. Yi fell silent. The night grew deeper. Soon, only the two of them remained in the bar. Eileen rested her head on the table, half asleep, mumbling softly. She told Yi that now he had strength, he might as well leave this place and live a better life. Yi simply watched her. He thought about leaving Narumi. He took a sip of his drink and was startled by how bitter it was. Someone asked if he had never tried it before. Yi looked up and froze. It was Chief Commander Corey. Eileen mumbled that back at the post. Only the leaders ever got to drink stuff like that. The bartender asked for the commander's order. Chief Commander Corey requested his usual bottle. Yi asked him if he thought the squad still had hope. Instead of answering directly, Commander Corey asked Yi how life in Narumi felt to him. Yi replied that it felt nostalgic, like how things were before the world ended. Commander Corey said the extermination squad existed to bring that kind of life back to everyone. And until that ideal became real, there would always be people who believed in it and were willing to stand for it. He asked Yi if he was one of those people. Yi answered yes without hesitation. Commander Corey smiled. His drink then arrived. He told the bartender to put the bottle on their tab and walked away. Yi muttered that the old man had just come to freeload. Commander Corey laughed and said he was looking forward to Yi's performance tomorrow. The next day, inside the stadium, the host addressed the brave citizens of Narumi and announced that under the leadership of the great speaker Raz Olaf, they had once again defeated the monsters threatening the city. In that moment of celebration, the long-awaited selection tournament officially began. The crowd erupted with excitement. The host introduced the examiner for round 2, and as expected, it was none other than Tabit. After the introduction, Tabit suddenly kicked the host off the stage. The crowd gasped in shock. Everyone recognized him. Tabit announced that he was a soldier and didn't care for pointless chatter. He said the rules were simple. If they lasted 3 minutes on the field, they passed. Then, this egghead asked who will go first. He asked them to come. We then saw our MC, and he was seated beside Yao. She looked shocked to see Tabit. Yi asked if she knew him. Yao replied that Tabit used to be their class instructor. She added that within his first year in the military, he had killed 100 Abyss Lords, a record no one had ever matched. The host announced the start of the round. The first participant charged at Tabit with a hammer, but he was completely unprepared. Tabit drove a knee into him. The man was blasted straight into the wall. Tabit calmly added that he had forgotten to mention something earlier. There were no limits in this round. He told anyone afraid of dying to withdraw immediately. The crowd grew uneasy. Murmurs spread as people realized how brutal this was supposed to be. They had thought this round was meant to showcase skills. They had never seen an examiner fight with killing intent. The next contestant was called. Everyone was stunned when the man immediately ran in the opposite direction. He had barely escaped yesterday. The arena was large, so he planned to run and survive for 3 minutes. But then, Tabit erased the distance instantly. He appeared behind the man and slammed him into the ground. Yi was shocked. Despite Tabit's massive build, his speed was terrifying. He covered 10 strides in a blink. With no terrain to use, Yi knew running or dodging wouldn't work. The next contestant stepped forward. The man had mechanical arms and threw a punch at Tabit. The host excitedly announced that someone had finally landed a hit. Tabit didn't even move. As expected of a Zhang family candidate, Tabit looked amused. A few seconds later, the attacker screamed. His arm shattered. She was confused. He had no idea what just happened. Yao explained Tabit's ability. Any damage dealt to his body was reflected back onto the attacker. Yi finally understood how he had been injured before. She asked what they were supposed to do if they couldn't hurt him or outrun him. The next contestant entered the field. He saluted the Major General. Tabit looked at him. Then he announced that the man had passed. The entire arena froze. Yi and Yao both frowned deeply. Someone in the crowd shouted that it was blatant favoritism. The man beside him hurriedly silenced him, asking if he wanted to die. The military brass was sitting right there. When several officers glared in his direction, the man immediately pretended to clap. Soon, the arena filled with thunderous applause. Yi clenched his teeth. After a while, the participants were carried away on stretchers. On one side, every contestant hoping to join the extermination squad was targeted. One after another, they were hauled off with severe injuries. On the other side, the military's candidates stood relaxed and unharmed. The remaining extermination squad candidates were filled with anxiety. Then someone stepped forward and announced that this was their final chance. It was Rhodes. He asked who among them still wished to join the city defense forces. The contestants were cornered. One of them felt he had no other option. He dropped to his knees and kissed Rhodes's boot, pleasing him. The soldiers laughed and mocked him, saying he wagged his tail like a dog. Another contestant shouted at them to stop. That was the end for him. Rhodes shot him a cold glare. In the next instant, blood splattered across the field. Tabit walked away, leaving the contestant beaten and bleeding. Soon after, contestant number 21 was called. It was Yao. The soldiers watched her as she stepped forward. One of them asked his companion if it was really her. They called her a traitor. Before she entered the field, Yi quietly warned her to be careful. He told her that if she couldn't hold out, she shouldn't force it. She had no intention of surrendering. Tabit looked amused when he saw her. He hadn't expected her to dare face him. Yao tightened her grip on her weapon. The host announced the start, and the timer began. She activated her skill immediately. Skyveil. Wrath of Thunder. She was stunned by how fast she cast it. Yi realized that from the moment she stepped onto the field, she had already begun charging. The host was thrilled by the unexpected opening. Everyone wondered how she planned to deal with Tabit's damage reflection, but to their shock, nothing happened to her. Tabit quickly understood why. As long as her attack didn't make direct contact with his body, the reflection wouldn't activate. Tabit began to move. The host wondered if Yao could unleash another strike of that level. But an attack like that alone wouldn't be enough to bring Tabit down. It seemed like she was out of options. Then, Tabit suddenly froze. Electricity surged up from the blood beneath his feet. His body stiffened as paralysis spread through him. Yao had known he would assume she was charging another thunderstrike. That was exactly what she wanted. The ground was soaked with the blood of the contestants Tabit had crushed earlier. She had woven lingering lightning into that blood as a delayed trigger. It was her real follow-up attack. No one expected Yao to layer her strategy like that. Even Tabit sensed how powerful the paralysis was. Yao didn't need to defeat him. She only had to survive for 2 more minutes. Yao and Tabit faced each other from a distance. Faint blue energy surrounded Yao, while Tabit stood rooted in cracked ground, red power spreading beneath his feet. Blood stained the field between them. The host announced that Yao's tactic had succeeded. Examiner Tabit was trapped. Tabit struggled, trying to break free. Yao told him that her victory was built on every contestant he had tortured before her. Their blood, combined with her lightning, had formed the cage trapping him. Even with the strength of a squad captain, she warned him not to think he could escape so easily. She was confident. Even if he broke free from the restraints, she knew she could handle him. Tabit said there was something he had always wanted to ask her face to face. She was already a member of the elite squad, with a brighter future than any of her peers, and yet she chose to betray them. He asked why. Yao thought talking would only waste time, and that worked in her favor. So, she helped him remember what he had done. She recalled a moment from her time at the recruit training ground. She had told the other trainees to stop wasting time and come at her all at once. The men were offended by her words. Feeling insulted, they charged her together. One of them froze when a foot suddenly flashed in front of his face. It belonged to a red-haired woman. It was Yao's close friend, Shen Kei. Yao's eyes widened as Kei joined the fight. Kei leapt forward. She charged straight at another trainee. Her fist slammed into his face. The last trainee standing panicked as his friend crashed down in front of him. Yao glared at him. She punched him, blood spraying across the area. All 3 men were down. Yao was exhausted. A hand reached out to her. Kei told her there was only one assessment left and that they had to advance together. She smiled. Yao took her hand. Rain poured during the final assessment. They stood at the center of the arena. Yao felt her heart sink when she realized they had been matched as opponents for the final test to enter the elite squad. Tabit watched them closely. Then, he announced the start. They charged at each other at the same time. Lightning clashed against lightning. They were evenly matched. The woman suddenly grabbed Yao by the shoulder. She tried to shove her down, and Yao realized too late that the woman was faster. She knew she was about to lose. Yao braced herself, but her opponent also stopped and nothing happened. When she felt no pain, she opened her eyes. She froze. The red-haired woman was kneeling on the ground. She admitted defeat. Apparently, she had let Yao win on purpose. Tabit watched the scene from afar, his expression dark. He stepped forward and threw a gun onto the ground between them. Both women stared at it in confusion. Tabit said he had forgotten to mention one rule. The real condition to pass the match. They had to kill their opponent. The loser would never get another chance. Yao couldn't believe what she was hearing. Behind them, someone refused to do it. 2 candidates dropped their weapons, surrendered, and begged to be released. But then, the military shot them on the spot. Another contestant pleaded for mercy. He was shot in the head. Dread, despair, and terror flooded Yao's face. She stared at the corpses, her body trembling. The red-haired woman demanded to know why they were doing this. Even if they lost, they were still warriors who had fought their way there. Tabit coldly replied that they could either obey orders or die. Yao knew she could never harm the red-haired woman. The soldiers surrounded them and began the countdown. Someone reached down and picked up the gun. Yao froze when she realized it was the red-haired woman. She looked at Yao with a gentle, tender smile. Yao felt betrayed, but she accepted it. She thought this was for the best. The red-haired woman deserved to live, and even if Yao wanted to, she knew she would never have the courage to pull the trigger herself. Then the woman raised the gun and pointed it at her own head. She told Yao to live on. Yao watched as she pulled the trigger. Blood splattered across Yao's face. They were supposed to move forward together. Tabit let out a sigh. He said he was disappointed that Yao was the one who survived. The memory faded. Back in the present, Yao's emotions surged. She accused Tabit of destroying the most precious person in her life. He had forced such a cruel rule, one that made him worse than the monsters they fought. And now, she would take revenge with her own hands. Yao gathered blue energy. Lightning crackled around her body as she tightened her grip on her weapon. Her eyes burned with focus and hatred as she locked onto Tabit. She lifted her weapon. Blue lightning surged up her arm, power exploding outward in a violent burst. Cracks spread along her arm as the energy flooded through it. Lightning ripped through her skin while raw power erupted around her. She stood at the center of the storm, arm raised high as blue lightning radiated in all directions. Energy roared around her body as she unleashed it. Soul beast resonance. Her face twisted with fury. Blue lightning wrapped around her frame, her eyes glowing white as she bared her teeth, completely consumed by power. A massive wave of blue energy tore across the stadium. Lightning shredded the air as it rushed toward Tabit, wrapped in a red aura. Tabit appeared in sharp profile, calm and unreadable. Red energy coiled around him as he watched the incoming attack without a hint of fear. A blinding blue energy sphere slammed into the ground. Lightning exploded, ripping across the field and scattering blood in its wake. From the raging storm, a dragon of blue lightning formed, roaring as it surged forward. The host gasped at the sight of soul beast resonance. When a powerful awakener releases a monster's power through their weapon, it's called soul beast resonance. Their body manifests the traits of the beast itself, a living proof of mastery. Yi watched without blinking. Zhu stared in awe. At the VIP section, Eileen walked toward Commander Corey. She was stunned to learn that Yao's staff was forged from the remains of the Thunder Serpent Kulkulan, the Lord Beast of a B-rank abyss. Commander Corey said that Yao could already fully invoke resonance, meaning her crystal and weapon were in perfect sync. He admitted that even he wouldn't walk away unscathed if he took that attack head-on. If it landed, Tabit would be injured. The soul beast gathered energy in its mouth and fired it straight toward Tabit. Tabit's eyes widened. His pupils trembled as the overwhelming power crashed toward him. A blinding flash swallowed everything. Only a faint silhouette remained as a razor-sharp beam of blue light cut through the haze. The energy sphere expanded. The ground exploded apart as debris was hurled into the air under the crushing blue glow. The commentator leaned forward, shouting into the mic as he realized Tabit was fully restrained and had nowhere to dodge. Several soldiers stared upward in panic, faces pale as lightning flashed above them. One of them screamed in alarm. Yi and Jay cheered for Yao. Yao wished Shen Ke could see her. She had finally avenged her. The field was left shattered and smoking. Yao stood at its center as the crowd watched in stunned silence. Then a loud laugh echoed across the stadium. It came from Tabit. Everyone froze, unable to understand how that was possible. Suddenly, people screamed for Yao to look behind her. Tabit was already there. He told her it looked like she had been slacking in her training. Earlier, he had torn through the lightning, restraining him. Then he leapt away, leaving behind an illusion to take the hit. He said it was easy to trick her into using her trump card too early. Yao instantly jumped back. The host shouted that Tabit had reversed the battle in an instant, but Yao's reflexes were sharp too. Lightning surged through her veins, boosting her speed. Only 5 seconds remained. People wondered if she could last until the match ended. For those 5 seconds, Yao believed he would never catch her. But she was wrong. Tabit kicked her mid-move. She coughed up blood. Tabit was faster. And now, he was about to stomp on her. Doflamingo style. Tabit stood over her, fist clenched, red energy pouring off his body. Yao lay on the ground, barely conscious, gasping in pain. He seized her by the neck. Red energy crackled around his arm as her face twisted in agony, her breath instantly cut off. He lifted her into the air by the throat, red aura flaring violently as he mocked her, completely crushing any resistance. He countered her attack, forcing her own power to rebound straight back at her. When she finally lost consciousness, he let go and dropped her to the ground. She had been only 1 second away from advancing. That was when everyone understood the truth. It wasn't just close-range attacks. Tabit could reflect long-range elemental attacks, too. His ability was a terrifying, all-encompassing counter. They wondered if anyone could actually defeat him. Tabit raised his foot and told everyone to watch carefully, to witness the fate of a traitor. The spectators froze. Faces went pale, sweat breaking out as the situation turned deadly serious. He declared that worthless failures deserved to die, but his foot was suddenly stopped by Yi. Tabit hadn't expected that. Yi trembled with rage, teeth clenched tight. Ji and Tony stared in shock, their jaws dropping. Tabit hadn't even noticed when the brat stepped onto the field. He had expected his kick to shatter Yi's arm. Yi coldly told him that her match was already over. Then he shoved Tabit backward and declared that the next fight was with him. Yao was rushed away on a stretcher. The host announced contestant number 22, Zhou Yi. He had stunned everyone in the first round by charging straight to the top. His performance during the defense of Minghai City had been just as brilliant. Tony still had no idea how Yi had cheated in the last round, but the humiliation burned deep in his chest. He begged his uncle to take revenge for him. Today, he wanted Yi crushed in front of the entire crowd. The host continued. Both Yi and the other contestants had been eliminated and detained by Tabit yesterday, only released on the morning of the tournament. And, recently, Yao had fought alongside Yi during the rescue mission at Institute 12. This was no longer just a match. It was personal. Neither side intended to back down. Would another challenger fall under Tabit's hand? Or would Yi defeat the examiner and advance, creating yet another miracle? Tony could barely contain his excitement. The host announced the start of the match. Yi leaned forward, ready to explode into motion. He struck first. The host wondered if he could break through Tabit's counter-defense. Tabit caught Yi's fist with one hand. A wave of gasps swept through the crowd. Yi wasn't using any abilities. He was challenging Tabit in pure hand-to-hand combat. Tabit tightened his grip. Yi's attack reflected back onto him. Everyone held their breath. They wanted to see how Yi would deal with it. Then Yi was punched hard in the gut. Tabit sneered and asked if Yi really thought no one had ever tried that trick on him before. Every single one of them had failed. Yi punched back. His fist landed squarely on Tabit's face. Tabit calmly asked if he even understood why no one had ever succeeded. The counter activated, and blood spilled from Yi's face. Tabit shouted that everyone failed because idiots like him never learned grade school math. He explained that fighting him hand-to-hand meant that while Yi was crushed by the counter, he was also being hit by his own strength. Yi tried to punch again. Tabit continued, saying Yi was being beaten by both him and himself. There was no possible way for him to win. Their fists kept colliding. Yi endured it and kept fighting. The host announced that Yi's body was taking massive damage. The crowd wondered how long he could possibly last. He kept fighting. 30 seconds passed. Tabit was struck in the chest. Then he was hit directly in the face. 60 seconds had passed. Yi punched him again. 90 seconds passed, and Yi still hadn't fallen. The next punch sent Yi flying. While Yi was still in midair, Tabit followed up. He raised his leg to kick. Yi slammed into the ground with a thunderous crash, shattering the surface beneath him. Eileen asked what Yi was doing, letting himself be pushed this far. Commander Corey told her not to panic. He was certain it wasn't over yet. Tabit looked down into the crater. Yi lay at the bottom. Tabit admitted that he admired his endurance. He turned away, saying endurance alone would never be enough to defeat him. The host wondered if this was the end for Yi. But then Yi climbed out of the pit. Tabit froze. He had made it out. Gasping for breath, Yi still stood tall. Tabit couldn't believe he was still standing. Yi had used recover. That made Tabit wonder how he could heal so quickly. Yi noticed something. Tabit's body was covered in bruises. He admitted that the counter was annoying, but Tabit still bled like anyone else, and if they had more time, Yi would keep pounding him until he hit the dirt. The realization hit everyone. Yi's strategy was clear. He was relying on recovery far beyond human limits, dragging the fight out until time ran out. Tabit's full-power strikes couldn't finish him, and now the balance was starting to tilt toward Yi. Tabit scoffed and told Yi to save his words for after he lost. A powerful aura exploded from his body. Yi watched him closely. Tabit activated Beast Resonance. Tabit's veins bulged as crackling energy surged through his body. His arm twisted and reshaped, transforming into the head of a beast. More beast heads formed in the air around him, all releasing the skill Howl of the Wasteland Wolf. His eyes sharpened, cold and predatory like a wolf's. Yi hadn't expected this. The host announced that Yi had pushed Tabit into a corner. As everyone knew, Major Tabit possessed captain-level strength, but this was the first time he had ever unleashed Beast Resonance in public. The power was overwhelming. The aura swept into the crowd, injuring spectators. Some were poisoned, while others clutched their bodies in severe pain. Commander Corey commented that compared to Tabit, Yao's Beast Resonance was nothing more than an empty shell. Eileen was furious that an examiner would use Beast Resonance against a single contestant. The situation had gone completely insane. Commander Corey agreed. He was furious as well. He admitted he had tolerated Tabit's double standards toward earlier challengers. He could even excuse his cruelty toward Yao as a personal grudge. But now, he wanted answers from Rhodes, because it looked like they had lost all shame. Meanwhile, in the arena, Tabit told Yi that he had seen plenty of awakened brats like him, people who thought they were untouchable, but he had a message for him. He lectured Yi, saying that only by mastering the beastly power sealed within one's weapon did someone earn the right to face the ruined world head-on. Yi felt the air hardening under Tabit's aura. Even breathing had become difficult. The pressure felt familiar. He had experienced something similar back on the city wall. It made him grin. Now he wanted to see for himself just how strong these so-called veterans really were. The beast roared as it surged forward in a violent wave of energy, towering over the battlefield. It lunged, ready to devour Yi. It slammed into the ground, triggering a massive explosion. Yi leapt away from the chaos. But it was too fast. He activated dynamic vision. Even with enhanced sight, he could barely track its movements. Two beasts charged at him. Yi ran as fast as he could. Tabit declared that his strength came from the wasteland hellwolf. Once it locked onto prey, it would hunt until the target was dead. Yi kept running. Then he suddenly stopped. He turned and threw a punch at the beast. His fist connected and shattered the beast's head. For a moment, hope surged through him. But the next attack came instantly. Shards pierced his body from multiple directions. The shattered pieces of the beast flew toward the other one. And it grew even stronger. Yi was once again being hunted. And in such a confined space, there was no way to dodge forever. Then he noticed Tabit. Tabit had switched to ranged attacks. Yi realized Tabit's weak point was now his main body. So he charged straight at him. Tabit didn't move. He simply watched. Yi kicked him in the chest. The result was disastrous. Yi's leg snapped. He hadn't expected the counter, and it was even stronger than his own strike. Tabit's beast arm formed into a sword as he charged forward, and drove it straight into Yi's chest. Yi coughed violently, blood spilling from his mouth. Tabit drove the blade straight through Yi's body in one clean motion, lifting him off the ground as red energy exploded outward. Tabit hurled Yi to the ground. Red energy flashed as the impact shattered the arena floor. He said that, like all the fools before him, Yi thought simple tricks could beat him. But after resonance, his power increased tenfold. Every attack was returned with double strength. The beast lunged and tore into Yi. Tabit remarked that Yi's absurd recovery was a real problem. Still, it would be humiliating for an examiner to go lethal against a contestant. His sword began to charge with power, because his next strike was meant to end it. Yi struggled weakly. Tony was thrilled, convinced Yi was finally meeting his end. She couldn't bear to watch and covered his eyes. Eileen screamed, "No!" Tabit activated Wolf Howl Severance. Yi's eyes widened. The arena erupted. The host was completely stunned. The explosion was massive, towering high and spreading wide. The audience screamed in fear. Eileen turned pale. Before her was a deep trench carved into the ground. Tabit stood there, expression cold and serious. That strike was absolutely devastating. It didn't just split the ground, it shattered the arena walls, and Yi's condition was unknown. He lay there bloodied, a deep gash across his chest. His eyes had rolled white. Eileen shouted that this was no longer a selection match. It was attempted murder. She agreed and demanded a substitution. The crowd joined in. "Substitute! Substitute!" Tabit frowned deeply. Then, Yi's fist slammed into the ground. He pushed himself up. Tabit sensed movement behind him. Eileen let out a shaky sigh of relief. Even the host was in tears when he saw Yi stand. He announced that Yi had endured Tabit's hardest test. He was still able to fight. Yi's expression was deadly serious. Tabit's face twisted in disbelief, eyes wide, teeth clenched as he shouted that it was impossible. The crowd erupted in cheers for Yi. Yi calmly asked why he was so shocked. He questioned him. Was he really certain that Yi lacked the strength to take him down? He revealed the Goliath crystal embedded in his arm. Then, he unleashed resonance in the VIP section. Rhodes looked down. Someone entered and told him that allowing the proctor to swat contestants around and beat them in front of everyone, it was shameless. The man speaking was Corey. Rhodes looked offended. Corey claimed that for soldiers, only victory mattered. If being shameless led to winning, then pride meant nothing to him. Both of them froze at what they saw. Yi had grown massive, black wings. Yi lit up with excitement when he saw them. He wondered when Yi learned that ability. Someone walked over and explained that Yi had obtained the Goliath crystal while rescuing her in the lab basement. Yi smiled, relieved to see his sister safe. Zhongyi knew that revealing his full monster transformation would raise too many questions. To hide it, he mimicked Soul Beast resonance as a disguise. It was a clever workaround. Time ran out, yet Yi still hadn't knocked Tabit down. He wanted to keep fighting, so he asked Tabit if he would accept a duel. Tabit burst out laughing. He mocked Yi, saying he had never seen anyone use a trash E-rank abyss creature like the white-tailed ptarmigan as a Soul Beast weapon. He sneered that it was probably the strongest thing Yi could summon. He warned the kid that from now on, there would be no rules. This would be a fight to the death. Tabit unleashed a raging tornado, with his beast leading the charge. Yi spread his wings and flew away. He circled above it. Then he dove straight toward Tabit. Tabit slashed at him, but Yi leapt upward. He stayed suspended in the air. The host admitted he never expected Yi's soul beast resonance to grant flight. Since Minghai City was founded, fewer than 10 awakeners had ever taken to the skies. One soldier panicked when he saw Yi airborne, thinking there was no way to fight him. Tony snapped at him for losing his nerve. He reminded him that the abyss had plenty of flying monsters. Flight alone wouldn't defeat his uncle. Tabit ordered his beasts to pursue Yi. They surrounded him. Yi grinned. He grabbed both beasts and hurled them away, straight toward Tony and the other soldiers. Tony shouted, "What the hell?" just before the explosion. He crashed to the ground, badly injured. Several teeth were gone, and he could barely open his left eye. Eileen praised Yi for the clean hit. Yi casually claimed his hand slipped. Tony screamed at his uncle, demanding that he finish Yi and make sure he died. Tabit seized one of the beasts, using it to lift himself into the air and slip behind Yi. He believed Yi's back was wide open, full of flaws. He thrust forward, convinced that Yi was finally finished. Yi told Tabit that he was too slow. He blocked the sword with his wings. Tabit demanded to know why Yi kept sabotaging the military's plans. They had spent years arranging for the City Defense Force and the Extermination Squad, the city's two armed powers, to merge during the tournament. If the plan succeeded, he was willing to throw away his pride and his name in front of all Narumi. Otherwise, one day, the two factions would tear the city apart. Yi looked confused. With a calm expression, he asked what that had to do with him. He simply couldn't stand what was happening, so he wanted a fair examiner. That was his only reason. Tabit grew irritated. He called Yi stubborn. At the same time, he unleashed beast claws connected to his body by long tentacles. They wrapped tightly around Yi's ankles. Then he yanked him down. Yi couldn't react. Tabit slammed him into the ground. More tentacles lashed out. They pinned Yi firmly in place. The beast's bonehead shattered, sharp fragments scattering everywhere. The fragments clung to Tabit's sword. They formed a long, razor-sharp bone blade. In an instant, Tabit unleashed a technique even stronger than before. Yi raised a single finger. He told Tabit that he could defeat him with just one finger. Tabit scoffed. He couldn't believe Yi was still talking nonsense while standing at death's door. He unleashed Wolf Howl Prison, breaking Mountain Split. Yi shaped blades from his feathers. He pointed straight at Tabit. He activated his skill, Feather Blade Storm. Eileen screamed for him to stop. If Tabit took a hit that strong and reflected it, Yi would be finished. But the two fighters in the arena were exhilarated. Their beasts clashed head-on. Tabit's beasts were pierced through by the blades. A pillar of red energy shot straight into the sky, ripping through the air as debris and sparks exploded outward. Even the host was blown off his feet. Eileen clung to the railing and covered her eyes against the violent wind. The storm continued to roar. Then it slowly faded from the arena. It revealed Yi still standing, and Tabit, impaled across multiple parts of his body. The crowd grew tense. Tabit was weakened, yet he smiled, convinced he had won, because the counter would return the attack at double strength. Yi calmly revealed that he had noticed something during their earlier exchanges. If Tabit didn't release the stored damage in time, it would rebound onto him instead. Tabit collapsed to the ground. The host stood frozen. He announced that Tabit had fallen. No one could believe that the man known as the 100 Ghost Slayer had actually lost. He told the audience they had just witnessed a historic moment. A contestant had defeated a proctor in the selection trials. He urged everyone to join him in announcing the winner. Zhou Yi raised his fist, blood streaking his face, standing tall as the crowd shouted his name in celebration. The crowd erupted. Yi's victory unleashed months of pent-up anger and frustration across the stands. Amid the deafening cheers, Tabit was stripped of his examiner status. At the exit tunnel, Yi endured his injuries, especially the deep cut across his chest. The system detected overcharge, halving his recovery rate. Yao couldn't fully monster shift into fighter form in front of that many people, so Yi copied Yao and Tabit, triggering resonance through the crystal. The backlash was brutal. There was no way he could use it again anytime soon. He froze when someone suddenly appeared. It was Eileen. She rushed forward and hugged him tightly. She admitted she never thought he would actually beat Tabit. She congratulated him. He blushed, completely speechless, her chest pressed against him. His nose started bleeding. She noticed, and slapped him. He stared at her, confused. Eileen snapped that she had been on edge the entire time he was exchanging blows with Tabit. He couldn't say a word. She grabbed him by the collar and shouted that if that move hadn't landed, he would have been finished. She demanded to know when he started using beast resonance. She complained that he never told her. She asked if he had been hiding it from her too. Then she slapped him again, and grabbed his neck once more. He hurriedly promised to explain everything when they got back. Suddenly, someone took his arm. It was Zhang Yi. She asked him how the crystal she gave him had worked out. She leaned in, then whispered that she had even better ones at home. She teased him, suggesting he reconsider marrying into their family. He stiffened at her words. Eileen immediately grabbed his arm and shouted at Zhang Yi, calling her an old witch and demanding to know what she was doing. She yanked Yi toward herself, but Zhang Yi seized his other arm and pulled back, telling him to ignore that violent woman. They tugged him in opposite directions, and Yi could only think that he had somehow wandered into a legendary battlefield of love. Suddenly, several people approached. He turned to look. It was the injured contestants. One of them told everyone to line up. Yi was surprised to see those who had been eliminated by Tabit. They all saluted him. Confused, he asked what was going on. They thanked him. They explained that Captain Hai Lingxiao of the extermination squad would serve as the proctor for the upcoming rounds. Everyone tested by Tabit would have their results re-evaluated. Those eliminated could advance if they passed a second assessment. They thanked Yi for defeating Tabit and giving them a fair chance. He felt relieved hearing that. She pushed Yao's wheelchair forward. Despite her injuries, she tried to stand and complained that Yi had flattened Tabit before she got the chance. She promised to repay that debt in person. She coughed up blood. Yi rushed forward to support her. He felt her body trembling. She clenched her teeth as she thanked him. Yi was deeply moved by her gesture. But then, some men marched in. They raised their guns. The group was led by Tony. He declared that time was up, yet Yi had refused to leave the stage. He accused him of deliberately provoking and injuring the examiner. He claimed Yi incited civilians to resent the military and even attacked spectators on purpose, injuring many people. They suspected that Yi intentionally disrupted the order of the selection trials and used it as cover to harm others. So he ordered Yi to come with them. Yi was stunned. The injured contestant stepped forward and shielded him. They shot back that Tony was spouting nonsense. They warned him that if he wanted to lay a hand on Yi, he would have to go through them first. Tony froze. He demanded to know if they were planning to resist the law. These men had reached their limit with the military thugs. They were no longer afraid of being beaten down. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out, sending a chill through the air. The speaker declared that the match wasn't over yet. It was Commander Corey. Rhodes stood beside him. Rhodes glared and scolded Tony, snapping that he was next on duty, yet had chosen to stir up chaos instead. He ordered him to return to his post immediately. Tony trembled so badly that he stuttered as he responded. Then, Tony, the weakling, left with Rhodes. Commander Corey then turned to Yi and told him that from the moment he defeated Tabit, he had become the brightest rising star in Minghai City. Whether he liked it or not, both fortune and trouble would soon come knocking. He advised Yi to stay sharp. Yi frowned. Later that night, at Minghai's top luxury hotel, Cloud Pavilion, Yi was stunned. He was told that every room was fully booked. They had no choice but to look for another place. Suddenly, someone stepped forward and called out to him. The man introduced himself, saying he had reserved Cloud Pavilion. He invited Yi to join him for a meal. He was from the Bai family, Bai Haoyu of the intelligence department. Yi was shocked. The others grew cautious. They entered a private area and sat around a large round table. Eileen knew the Bai family was a close ally of the military. She couldn't help wondering what he wanted. Haoyu clapped his hands. Servers brought out several trays. The first tray opened, revealing the severed hand of the B-rank Abyss Lord, Bear God Erahan. Yi was both shocked and confused. The second tray revealed the spine of the savage beast Scutulus, a rare monster from an A-rank Abyss. Next came the wings of the Bazek Dragonkin. Haoyu explained that Yi wouldn't find a more complete set anywhere in Minghai. These were extremely rare monster remains. Even Eileen knew they were almost impossible to purchase. The Cockroach God grew excited. It detected rare traits and urged Yi to find a way to devour them as soon as possible. Haoyu smiled at the reaction. He said he wanted to be friends. He had heard Yi liked collecting monster parts, so he prepared these as gifts. Yi wondered how he knew. She asked Haoyu if this was a threat. Haoyu told him to relax. There was nothing in Minghai he didn't know. He wasn't tailing Yi specifically. It was simply his job. He said he genuinely wanted to be friends. He asked Yi if he was willing to befriend the Bai family. Suddenly, a woman stepped forward and spoke coldly, declaring that the fleet was bait in a rotting world. Everyone stiffened. She continued, saying that only by offering oneself to holy power could filth be cleansed and the spirit purified, opening a future for all. It was Saintess Karen User. She declared that this place was a den of corruption. On the Saintess's side, a pale, muscular creature crouched low on the floor, its body tightly wrapped in black bindings. It crawled toward the tray. Saintess Karen glanced at the bear paw and recoiled, clearly unwilling to touch it. She gestured for her aide to step forward. Deep down, Hao Yu felt irritated by her need to show off yet again. Yi was confused when she suddenly approached him. She reached out, then pulled his face against her chest. She called him the Holy Sun and asked if he could hear her heart. Eileen froze in shock. Yi's nose started bleeding. He stammered, asking what she meant by Holy Sun. Eileen grabbed his hoodie and yanked him away, demanding to know how long he planned to keep hugging her. Saintess Karen calmly explained that the church's prophecy foretold the arrival of a Holy Sun, one who would bear sacred power and lead the world out of suffering. She said the Holy Sun and Holy Maiden would share a single mind. She was certain Yi was the savior they had awaited for years. She opened her arms, inviting him to return to the church's embrace. Millions of believers would follow his command. Eileen realized they had even fabricated a prophecy just to claim him as their leader. Another person entered the room. He remarked that this seemed to be where young people liked to gather. Saintess Karen and Hao Yu instantly grew cautious. They both greeted Rhodes politely. Rhodes spoke bluntly, saying he valued talents like Yi. He asked if Yi was interested in joining the city defense. Yi was stunned. Rhodes gestured, and a soldier brought something forward. It was a live broadcast of Tabit, kneeling and bowed, a massive axe poised at the back of his neck. Rhodes stated that Tabit was beyond saving. He had even forced the city's heroes to sleep outdoors. As an examiner, he rigged the trials in public. As a trainer, he pushed recruits to kill one another. He concluded that trash like Tabit deserved death. He handed Yi a switch. If Yi pressed the button, Tabit would die. Tabit's life now rested in Yi's hands. Eileen felt uneasy. The military was willing to discard a major general just for Yi. Yi's expression turned serious. He tossed the switch back to Rhodes. He said he didn't have a habit of killing people. Rhodes laughed. He liked Yi even more for being a decent man. He sincerely said he wanted Yi on their side. He promised to elevate him as the leader of his generation and called him the hero of Minghai City. The word hero visibly struck Yi. Eileen worried that he might be tempted. Now Yi stood at the center of attention, with all three great powers trying to claim him. Eileen reminded herself not to force her own bias onto Yi or make him reject all three at once. As long as it wasn't the military, she could accept it. Yi raised his hand. Rhodes felt confident. In his mind, Yi was about to make the correct choice. A smart man always knew what to choose. But Rhodes was mistaken. Yi performed a fist-palm salute and thanked him for the high regard. Then he said he wasn't the prodigy Rhodes imagined. He shared that before arriving in Minghai, he nearly died after encountering a monster in the wilderness. Even now, he still trembled when he remembered that gaping mouth. Because of that, he knew he didn't deserve their favor. The expressions of the three great factions hardened. Yi glanced at Eileen. She looked proud. Ji and his sister were smiling as well. Yi felt satisfied. He suggested they leave and grab some street food instead. Hao Yu and the Saintess escorted Rhodes to his car. Before getting in, Rhodes told them that since Yi belonged to none of them, they would proceed with the plan the three houses had agreed upon, eliminating him in the third round. Hao Yu sighed, muttering that it was such a waste. Saintess Karen clasped her hands and prayed for Yi's peace. The day of round 3 finally arrived. They gathered inside the training hall. Commander Corey and Eileen stood before the abyss gate. A thick mass of green, vine-like tendrils lay coiled together, with a single purple flower blooming at the top. It looked organic, eerie, and alive. The purple bud began to twitch as if it were about to vomit. The audience immediately realized who the final round examiner was. It was Captain Haley of Squad 10. She congratulated everyone for making it this far and announced the rankings after the first 2 rounds. The results appeared on a massive screen. Yi scored 100 points in round 1 and 100 points in round 2, for a total of 200. Tony earned 49 points in round 1 and 95 in round 2, totaling 144. Hao Yu scored 38 points in round 1 and 90 in round 2, reaching 128. Karen had 35 points in round 1 and 92 in round 2, totaling 127. Ji earned 50 points in round 1 and 71 in round 2, for 121. Yao scored 21 points in round 1 and 98 in round 2, totaling 119. Yi led by 56 points, but round 3 could still overturn everything. Haley then explained the rules for the final round. The screen displayed the C-rank abyss, Chiang Mountain. They would survive for 10 days inside Chiang Mountain and hunt the monsters dwelling there. The mountain contained 4 monster tiers: Private, Knight, Guardian, and Lord, worth 1, 10, 50, and 100 points respectively. Over the 10 days, all hunt points would be added to their existing scores. The top 10 would officially join the extermination squad. Given their average strength, even Lord tier monsters could be defeated with proper teamwork. They were allowed to form squads of up to 3 people. Teammates were forbidden from attacking each other and would split points evenly. Forming a team improved survival chances, but it also locked their relative rankings, so she warned them to choose wisely. She added that squads 1 and 10 would do their best to keep them safe inside the abyss, but if they failed to arrive in time, she would simply feed whatever remained to her cute little babies. The room went pale. They were given 30 minutes to prepare. After that, the trial would begin. People immediately rushed toward Yi. They wanted to team up with him. He was quickly surrounded by contestants, but he refused them all. They were stunned. He couldn't team up with everyone, and once the trial began, he believed the farther they stayed from him, the better. One group stepped forward and bragged about their numbers, claiming they could back him up. But the first person who approached Yi scolded them instead. She gave Yi a thumbs up, and Yao smiled at him. Then Jay froze when he saw the Saintess accompanied by several towering men approaching him. He sensed them and turned around. He calmly stepped aside and let them pass. He asked Yao if she felt it too. She admitted it wasn't just a feeling, she was certain. The military was determined to take the title this year. If they eliminated Yi, Tony would become the champion. Yi fell silent. On top of that, they had humiliated the military publicly in the previous round. There was no way they would let that go. Yi had expected this. After rejecting all 3 great powers that night, if they couldn't remove him outside the arena, they would definitely target him during the exam. Ji asked what they should do now. Nearly half the field was filled with their people. It felt like 3 against an entire mob. Yi told him not to rush. Hao Yu suddenly called out to him. Just as Hao Yu expected, the 3 of them had already formed a team. He reminded Yi that he wasn't the only one capable of soul beast resonance. He revealed that the 3 great families were prepared to unite against him, making victory impossible. He admitted that his offer of friendship had been genuine. If Yi withdrew now, the offer would still stand. Yi thanked him. But he added that he had heard no one had ever taken first place in all 3 rounds, so he wanted to be the first. Someone wearing a red cape walked past them. Yi sensed that the man's power was on par with Tabit. The man glared at Yi and accused him of being ungrateful. He said young Master Hao Yu was taking the blame from his own family just to give Yi one last chance, yet Yi still refused it. Hao Yu stopped him, saying that was enough. Since Yi insisted on walking a dead-end road all the way to the end, all he could do now was wish him luck. Yi returned his gaze without a word. The preparation time ended. The contestants were instructed to check their monitoring bands and confirm they were functioning properly. After that, they were to enter in order based on their squad's total scores. Round 3 of the selection trials officially began. Yi, Yao, and Zhe entered first. Someone suddenly shouted, "Hey!" Yi turned his head. It was Tony. Tony silently mouthed the words, "You're dead." Yi immediately understood that they were now everyone's target. He told Yao and Jay that once they entered, they would stick to the plan and find a hideout first. He believed a mountain that vast would be impossible to fully sweep in a short time. They stepped into the portal and arrived inside the Kiang Mountain abyss. The next batch of contestants followed. They were the representatives of the 3 great families. Tony gathered his men and confirmed everyone was present. The combined forces of the 3 families lined up as he spoke. He warned them that Yi was not easy to deal with and that they had to go all out. This operation would determine which of the 3 houses stood on top. Any grudges would be settled after Yi was eliminated. Until then, no one was allowed to steal monster points. He ordered them to begin the hunt for Yi. One of the military members activated trial-seeking tree roots. At the same time, a man pulled back his hood, revealing pointed ears. He pressed them against the ground and listened while Hao Yu's forces spread out. A member of the Saintess's faction activated blood-forged tracking. He declared that sinners could never hide. He dripped blood into a strange dish and used it as a compass. Tony was confident. With the combined tracking techniques of the 3 houses, Yi would not escape. He expected to find him quickly. Suddenly, one of the military men stiffened. Through his vines, he detected Yi. Tony immediately demanded his location. The man reported frantically that Yi seemed to be right nearby. Tony was stunned. A voice spoke from above. Tony looked up. Yi was sitting casually on a tree branch. He revealed himself openly, staring down at them like fools. The representatives of the three families were shocked. Tony exploded in rage. He shouted that Yi had the nerve to taunt them instead of hiding. He ordered everyone to attack and kill him. Yi remained where he was, calmly waiting. A grin spread across his face. Then came the explosion. From a distance, Ji and Yao saw it happen. They worried about Yi. But everything was unfolding exactly as planned, not long ago. Yi knew they were clearly planning to eliminate them inside the abyss, so he told his teammates to split up and head in different directions while he stayed behind to hold the enemy off. Ji panicked at the idea of Yi going alone, but Yi insisted they follow his orders. Against the three great houses, whether it was one of him or all three together made no difference. While he drew their attention, he wanted the other two to farm points. Someone killed a bird-like monster. It was Jay. Tears streamed down his face as he admitted he never expected Yi to risk his own score just to fight the three great houses head-on and leave them a chance at the title. He swore to follow Yi for life. Others nearby were moved to tears as well. They admired Yi for what he had done. Before entering the trial, they believed they had zero chance of reaching the top 10. They pushed themselves harder. They needed to kill more monsters and earn more points. They refused to waste Yi's goodwill. Lightning crashed down. Yao struck a massive ape monster. It slammed face first into the ground. The participants behind her finally understood how to rack up points. Yet Yao couldn't stop worrying about Yi. She recalled all the times he had helped her. That made her wonder if he liked her. But she also knew how close he was to Vice Captain Eileen and Zhang Yi. Her heart fluttered at the thought that he might be trying to keep her as a secret fling. Now she wondered how she could ever repay such a huge favor. Around her, other participants also felt indebted to Yi. They hadn't even spoken to him yet. One woman even thought about offering herself as repayment and wondered if Yi already had a girlfriend. Yao overheard them. She snapped at them, telling them to focus on the fight. They stared at her, confused by her sudden reaction. Meanwhile, someone was moving at high speed. It was Yi. He flew through the terrain while Tony and the others chased after him. Tony shouted that Yi's soul beast resonance would eventually run out, so they just needed to stay on him. One of the military men reported that Yao and Jay had already surpassed Tony's score. Tony dismissed it immediately. As long as they killed Yi, they would still have plenty of time to clean up the rest. Yi heard everything. He found it amusing, because he wasn't just buying time. With enemies constantly around him, he wasn't as agile as when moving alone, which meant he couldn't execute the next phase yet. An ape monster suddenly blocked his path. More monsters emerged. There was something they didn't know. Yi had the ability to hide in the middle of a monster herd. He burst out of the forest and rushed toward the shoreline, where a massive group of monsters had gathered. Carabao-like beasts stood by the lake, drinking water. The soldiers chasing him panicked. They quickly reported to Tony that a herd of spineback dromedaries was ahead. Yi had deliberately led them straight into it. Tony grew irritated, annoyed by his men's fear. He reminded them they had the advantage in numbers. Yi transformed, taking on a serpent ape form covered in thick fur with a heavy horn spike. He slipped seamlessly into the herd. Tony and his men stopped at the edge of the monsters. Tony's fury boiled over. Yi was still hiding. He ordered his men to move in and search. They began inspecting the monsters one by one. The men scattered among the monsters asked each other if anyone had found Yi, but no one had seen him. Yi grinned. He decided to stir things up. He drove his claws deep into a monster's body, forcing it to let out a deafening roar. The other monsters responded with roars of their own. The soldiers panicked as the spinebacks began to lose control. Tony shouted orders for them to kill everything in sight so they could snag some points as well. But to his shock, even more monsters were hiding in the darkness. Apes and birds emerged one after another. They closed in from all sides. The monsters, including the spinebacks, advanced together. Tony yelled at his men not to let a single beast escape. They needed to kill them all and take the points. The battlefield descended into chaos as contestants fought desperately. Tony stabbed an ape and lifted its massive body with one arm. He shouted for everyone to finish quickly so Yi wouldn't get too far. Red energy surged violently, tearing through the air in streaks as crushing pressure slammed down like a sudden storm. Powerful gusts ripped through the treetops. Leaves and debris shot across the night sky as the forest bent under the overwhelming force. A monster collapsed after being cut down. Soon, bloodied monster corpses piled up before the exhausted soldiers. Tony checked with the Saintess to confirm whether they had lost Yi. She answered that he was still nearby. One soldier suddenly froze. He checked his monitoring band. It showed 0 points. The same was true for Tony and the others. Confusion spread across their faces. Then they saw the rankings. The current top scorer was Yi, with 723 points. They had no idea. Yi was camouflaged on a tree branch directly above them. Yi smiled. At that moment, the trait Chroma Camouflage was active. Derived from the common forest mutant chameleon, it allowed the user to blend perfectly into their surroundings. According to the rules, only the one who landed the killing blow earned points. So as long as Yi delivered the final hit, every point would belong to him. Earlier, he had released Little Fatty and ordered it to finish off every dying monster. Little Fatty tore into the weakened beasts, killing them one by one, and Yi quietly harvested all the free points. Meanwhile, Haoyu crouched down and examined the monster corpses. Haoyu immediately realized that Yi was the one behind it. Tony erupted in rage, furious that they had been fooled again. Deep down, Yi thought they shouldn't celebrate yet. This was only the beginning. He was about to show them what a real trick looked like. He threw something into the lake. A massive splash exploded across the surface. Everyone froze. The water began to churn. Then something rose from beneath it. A gigantic water dragon serpent burst out, releasing a thunderous roar. Its cold eyes locked onto them. Shock and fear spread instantly. This was the ruler of the lake, Gu Yesu, the king of Mirror Lake. Enraged that its slumber had been disturbed, it radiated overwhelming pressure. This was a boss-level existence. They were horrified. Tony barked orders for everyone to prepare for battle. Haoyu understood immediately. Yi had deliberately provoked the beast to pin it on them. Retreating was the logical choice. But Tony refused. With elites from every major power present, he claimed there was nothing to fear from a single boss. Yi silently agreed. He wanted them to keep attacking it. If they ran, he wouldn't be able to steal their points. Gu Yesu struck. Tony ordered everyone into defensive formation. They activated the crystals on their arms. A massive barrier expanded outward. Gu Yesu's attack crashed down from above. The barrier barely held as the impact shattered the ground beneath them, cracks spreading like spiderwebs. A violent gust of wind followed. Yi was impressed. Not a single one of them was injured. Several hooded figures moved next. They lunged toward Gu Yesu. They tore off their cloaks and activated beast soul resonance. Claw-like hands slammed into the dragon's head. Yi was stunned. He remembered Haoyu's earlier words. There were others capable of soul beast resonance. He hadn't expected even Haoyu's subordinates to possess it. The cockroach god urged him to look closer. Yi shifted into his fighter form and activated his eye skill. Blood seeped from the men's arms. Yi noticed the unnatural glow of monster components. He realized the truth. They had grafted monster limbs directly onto human bodies. Next, the saintess issued a command. Her followers stepped forward. They removed their cloaks. Beneath them were massive reptilian shells, etched with talismans. They clasped their hands and began to pray. Alright, that's it for today's story. If you want the weekly chapter updates for this series, those will now be uploaded on my second channel, Manhwa Updater. So if you don't want to miss what happens next, make sure to check it out and join the update gang. Thanks for watching, stay cool, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.